Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Symphony. Y'all know what it is. I'm going to stand right here and wait till Bucho say that he can see and hear us. And Bucho has given us confirmation. One of these days, I'll trust myself enough to know that everything launched correctly. But until then, get you a Bucho. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Symphony. Symphony Entertainment Gaming and Arts is my gaming company that focuses on horror systems, indie games, organic content, and player agency in an attempt to bring a symphonic approach to horror role-playing. I am your host, Bridgett Jeffries, but tonight I am a mere vagabond. That is because we have the absolutely brilliant, stellar GM Mike, or affectionately known in discourse as Mr. Spike, rejoining the Symphony this afternoon, tonight for everyone across the pond, which is the entire cast except for me, for a GM run of Vaesen, the multi-award-winning game from Free League Publishing. I will let Mike tell you all about that, but before we get into the game, one quick announcement. Symphony Entertainment does have a Patreon. So if you like this content and you would like us, or you would like to help us create more content like this, please consider backing us on Patreon. Tiers are fleshed out with everything from behind the scenes content, postcards, free book products, and more. Appropriately tiered backers will also get access to our Symphony Gala Talkbacks, which is on mainstream content where the cast takes a break. They come back, we let our hair down, we bring our pets out, and we talk about the content. We talk about the mechanics. We talk about the content warnings. We talk about how we felt, things our characters did, and it's a really nice way for the cast to unpack. And then depending on the tension levels that you guys had to ride through, it can be a really nice unpack for audience members too. I think one of the big things are, at least with the talkbacks that I've seen, the guests that I have been fortunate and blessed enough to have on Symphony have so much industry experience, whether it's professionally or just as a hobby, that the talkbacks provide a lot of value and a lot of insight and a lot of clarity on things I may have been fuzzy on, or a lot of perspective on things I hadn't considered. And it's easily one of my favorite things about the Patreon tiers are the talkbacks, because they're just really, really delicious. In addition to talkbacks, postcards, book products, and stuff, every time I go to a convention, I always bring back something fun for our Patreon backers. So if you are a backer, I'll be doing the drawing on October 20-something. I don't know, Patreon backers can tell you. But you could be winning a coffee cup chimera dice roller that I picked up for you guys. Or, I actually really love these, the Dodeca Donuts dice tray. Please look at this delicious ass donut, guys. I hope you guys can see it. It is delicious. It has like skulls and dead people and weapons on it and a halberd. That's a callback to T.A. Newman. So, and then plus I'll be giving away, I think 4 or 5 ugly mystery dice sets, which are packaged. I don't even know what they look like. Allegedly, these dice are ugly. I don't really know what that means, because I think all dice are beautiful. But if you're a Patreon, we will be doing a raffle for that at the end of the month. So, again, if you're interested in that, back us on Patreon at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. So, without further ado, let's unveil this delicious cast that I have been fangirling on ever since I logged on to Zoom. Cast members, please introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find you, and today, your favorite animal, because Bridgett really wants to know. Newman, take us away, baby.
Okay, well, I'm T.A. Newman. I'm the host of the Miskatonic Playhouse. You can find me usually hiding in the rehearsal room at the Playhouse, behind some cupboards in a box and a curtain drawn. And I'm part of the community. I'm a writer in the community. I've written a few books. I got The Prisoner's Dilemma, which was my first book. Secret Santa, which I wrote because I wanted to do a Secret Santa game and have someone buy me some presents, and then Be My Valentine, because everyone needs a little bit of love. But as you can imagine, with those being Call of Cthulhu Miskatonic repository titles, there's lots of grim death and horror, and that's what we offer at the Playhouse. We take community titles, we put them on, and we bathe in that grim blood and horror. And actually, this. Before I talk about my favorite animal, it's because of Bridgett and Bridgett's support and what she does here with Symphony, and the way that we've been a part of it in terms of being guests and been friends and things, that on Saturday for the Miskatonic Repository Convention, the Miskatonic Playhouse is having its first live Twitch stream, which we're very, very excited about. We genuinely wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Bridgett and Bridgett's meddling and intuition and basically general mentorship. So it is so amazing that we're doing it. So have a look at the MRCon schedule. It's 9 a.m. EDT or 2 p.m. GMT. I'm aware that these acronyms mean things and these numbers are times, I believe. But we're playing Signal to Noise. It's a wicked 1980s horror analog game. And yeah, come join in because we've got a lot of the Council of Shoggoth to take in on the roles of the investigators, which I'm going to torture, have as investigators. But my favorite animal, I would say my favorite animal, apart from my daughter, who is an absolute beast of an animal. I think my favorite animal, and that's a compliment to her, she's amazing. My favorite animal is, do you know, I'm going to give a shout out to another podcast. I think it's a jackalope.
Oh,
I've been listening to Pretending to Be People, who just crack me up. Those guys, Zach and those guys, are just absolutely next level funny. And I've just got to a bit in season 2 with the jackalope, and I was literally like crying with laughter on my way to work driving the car. So
I like this. And one, Newman, I love you. A rising tide lifts all ships. The amount of love that is thrown back and forth in this community is probably one of my favorite things about it. Bucho or Chris Bates, if you're there, can you please post a link to the Miskatonic Playhouse live stream? So thank you so much. Chris Bates is already on that. And Newman, during somebody else's introduction, can you please post a link to that particular podcast that you just shouted out?
I can indeed.
I'd love your entire face. We are going to kick this over to the absolutely delicious Graham Walmsley. Graham, you already know what it is, baby. Tell us who you are, what you're doing, where people can find you, and what your favorite animal is.
Hello, I'm Graham Walmsley. I'm the author of Cthulhu Dark, which is a Cthulhu game. It looks like this. It's been used to write. Nobody saw that. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. It's been used. I mean, lots of people have written stuff with Cthulhu Dark, including this, which I just thought I'd hold up to make Bridgett happy. This is Miskatonic Shoreside Conservatory. Go and buy it. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's that. The thing I'm working on at the moment is a thing called Cosmic Dark, which looks like that. I adore the cover to this so much. This is my game of weird space horror. Yeah, it's lovely. If you're interested in this, I have a Patreon, and if you go to patreon.com/Graham, you can get the first scenario for Cosmic Dark, and loads of other things as well. So yeah, please do go across and sign up for the Patreon, and there is Cosmic stuff, dark stuff on there. So yeah, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Graham. I have a Substack, grahamwalmsley.substack.com. And I also have COVID-19. I was trying to think how to bring that up.
So smooth.
Which he's donating.
That's like a segue. I do. I'm recovering from COVID at the moment, but you know, if I seem low energy during the stream, that's why. If my role play seems bad, it's because of COVID, not because of my role. If my dice rolls are shit,
it's because of COVID.
Anything I do during this stream, which is bad, is because of COVID. So there you go. And my favorite animal is a giraffe.
I did not know that about you, Graham. We might have to talk about that in the talkback. A giraffe. Okay. Me wow. I love some Graham. And if you want to see more Cosmic Dark, Graham is streaming Cosmic Dark at the end of the month here on Symphony. And I am delighted because he has ruined me multiple times on Cosmic Dark over on Ain't Slayed Nobody. So last but totally not least, and then we'll get into our quick disclosure about content warnings, and I'm going to throw it back over to our GM. Mike, baby, tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find you, and what your favorite animal is.
Hello, I'm Mike, who some people know as Mr. Spike.
Hey.
Compared to Bridgett, Graham, and Newman, I am a mere mortal. I have no published content anywhere, but you can hear me if you like to do that sort of thing on the Old Ways podcast, where I am currently a passenger on the Orient Express, which is experiencing a little horror. That's an ongoing campaign with some very fine players and a very fine keeper. And I also have my own little podcast, which, if you don't already know about, is Mr. Spike's Bedtime Stories, where I read tales of weird and mysteriousness from usually from the Victorian and Edwardian period, though I have dabbled a little in more recent content. And I was due to be having something coming out last week, but I was not well with a sore throat, which I still have, which hopefully will not mean that by the end of the night I'm just doing like that. Although I might be anyway. So it's a bit delayed. So if anybody has been waiting for the latest story, I'll get it. I'll get it out soon. And that's kind of me. That's about it. Not very much to tell, but there we are.
Not very much to tell. People love the grounds Mr. Spike walk on. Chat is already like, excuse you, it is the Mr. Spike.
For sure.
For sure. And then also between sore throats, low energy, just got home from work, cooked the wrong dinner, and COVID, cast, per Chris Bates, y'all really are some troopers for showing up for the stream today. I appreciate you. The audience appreciates you. Y'all are some rock stars. Content warnings have been discussed with the cast and crew. We have reviewed red lines. We understand that the X card is in play. X's can be sent via private message, or they can be done visibly here onto the chat where we can all see it. If an X is thrown, there is no judgment passed. There are no questions asked. We move the story over. Horror stories can be intimately horrifying, and if the table is not safe, that means the table is not having fun. And if we're not having fun, it's a role-playing game. Guys, something is wrong. There's a breakdown somewhere. We will protect each other. That is our goal. We will also be using the green, yellow, red traffic method, which is a personal favorite of mine. Any player at any time can call for a color check. If everyone is staring at the cameras like this, might be a good time to call for a color check. Green, we are okay. We're rocking and rolling. Yellow, I'll tolerate it, but I'm not real happy about it. Red, nah, homie, we need to stop right now. And we will rock out from there. All players have to announce their color. Nodding enthusiastically with a heads up is cute. I need to hear the color green, yellow, or red when you say it out loud. With that being said, this ain't my game. It's barely my show. I am getting the hell out of the way so you guys can see and experience who you came here to see, which is our GM, Mike. Mike, I am completely out of your way, baby. The stage is yours.
Well, I mean, I think we have missed one thing, which was I forgot to tell you what my favorite animal is.
How did we miss that? There was giraffe, there was a jackalope. We missed it. We need to know.
If we're talking, well, if we're talking animals, I think it's probably a dog. You know, man's best friend, woman's best friend, everyone's best friend. But the question is, of course, Bridgett, what's your favourite animal?
Oh, so I specified this on the front end. What is your favorite animal of today? Because it can always change. And today, I'm going to have to go with a dog as well. Mike, really fast. I don't know what Twitch is doing or how this is possible, but every time I do heart hands, Twitch is automatically floating hearts.
I can see it, yeah.
That's magic, because I keep trying to, I see you doing this, and I try and do this. I'm even saying the spells, and it's not working.
Right, did you, like, it's, I don't know what setting is causing this.
There it is.
So when I'm so sorry, guys. This has fuck all to do with the content.
Or is it Zoom that's doing it?
I don't know. But the first time I did it and I saw the hearts, I was like, oh, one of the cast members must be hitting like a heart react button in Zoom. And then I realized no one was hitting it. Bridgett is apparently magical. I don't know how this is. Y'all know how many times I've been doing this on stream? I've been doing that for like the year that Symphony has been streaming. Anyways, let me get the hell out of the way. I'll be doing this all day just out of pure magic excitement.
All right. All right. So we are playing Vaesen tonight. Free League's Year Zero engine game of Nordic horror, which is, for the most part, not entirely, because there have been additional supplements that have come out, for the most part set in mid-19th century Sweden. And the origins of Vaesen, I suppose, the game, come from the work of Johan Egger. I practiced how to say this without tripping up, and I failed on the first hurdle. Johan Egerkrans, his book Vaesen. That is a very fine example of one of the creatures, the hidden, the invisibles. We have. I don't know. You know, I could go through the whole book and show you. It's absolutely beautiful and inspiring. So much so that a role-playing game was inspired and created. So rather than go into any huge, great detail about the game, I think we should just get straight into it, shall we? Straight into the mystery that will unfold this evening or this afternoon or this morning or wherever you happen to be. So, as we start, a terrible storm is raging across southern Sweden. Black clouds blanket the sky, with the wind howling as rain and hail pour down. We see a carriage containing 3 passengers as it travels along a bumpy road that winds through dark and brooding pine forests. All around, trees are being knocked to the ground by tempestuous winds or split asunder by lightning strikes.
Wow.
A crack of thunder makes the horses rear and whinny, but the coachman drives them on through the storm. Who are these travellers? Where are they heading to on such a night as this? To find out, we need to turn the clock back a little bit and visit a decaying, neglected old castle on a hill by the Vaesen River in the town of Uppsala, some 40 miles north of Sweden's capital, Stockholm. For this is Castle Gillenkreutz, formerly the Swedish headquarters of the Society for Studies of the Invisibles and Protection of Mankind, but which, since the dissolution of the society, has lain empty for over a decade now. Our players tonight, though, are a new generation of Thursday's children. Thursday's children? Who are they, you may ask? Well, these are individuals that are gifted, or some might say cursed, with the sight, the ability to see the hidden supernatural creatures known as Vaesen. They have taken up residence in the castle, and they've begun the arduous task of its restoration. Our mystery tonight opens on a cold, wet morning in late autumn during the reign of King Oscar I. Storm clouds are already gathering in the skies. The breakfast table in the capacious dining room has been laid by the castle's faithful butler Algot Frisk, and this morning's mail has been delivered and taken to the parlour for the members to open and read at their leisure. So, let us see who is currently in residence in the Society's Uppsala headquarters, shall we? Bridgett, would you like to introduce your Thursday's child and describe them a little bit for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am playing Hannah, and Hannah is very likely one of the strongest people in this castle. And I mean that both emotionally and physically, but the emotional probably doesn't come across too well. She is extremely compact. This woman is just over 5'4", 5'5", but she is strong-shouldered, strong arms, strong lower back, muscular, well put together as far as just her pure athleticism. She is always seen with her dog, with I'm going to mispronounce it, but I'm pretty sure it's a Smaland dog. Basically, if you imagine a Rottweiler that is shaved off by like 80 pounds, a little bit thinner, that's basically what you're looking at, except for this breed comes into the hound version. Hannah and Mads have a very interesting optical relationship because despite the fact that Bridgett fawns over dogs, and I still can't believe that Mike gave me a dog in this game, that was the biggest mistake made of the century. Hannah has a very strong emotional disconnect to Matt. This isn't your standard loving owner, loving dog relationship. It's almost like the two of them came to the table and have a very strict business arrangement. And that is how she interacts with the world. She has very pale gray eyes. There's always mud or dirt underneath her fingernails, no matter how many times she bathes, how many times she gets clean. And she is a head of messy curly hair that she constantly is fighting to pull back into a ponytail that always snaps and then the hair is everywhere, or she braids it back and it untangles and the hair is everywhere. But that's physically what you're looking at when you're dealing with Hannah. She's big on justice. She's big on equality. She's big on people feeling seen and heard, but there's a massive disconnect where these are the things that she outwardly pushes, agenda-wise, morale-wise, but you don't actually see her connecting with them. There's constantly that weird disconnect when dealing with her. How she interacts with the humans around her is the same way she interacts with the dog.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm sure that Hannah will be a very interesting character in this mystery, as will Mads. Moving around the castle, who else do we find? Today here we see a gentleman with a military bearing. Newman.
Oh.
Well, Captain Gustav Gustafsson is a man of upstanding breeding, family, nobility, military training, and is very good at telling people what to do. It runs very much in his nature, and we can see that this is very much defining in his relationships with the other characters, and you see him standing, leaning on his saber, the tip pointing into the ground, out to the floor. The sword is out. He's very much striking a pose, which is very much his style. His boots are polished. His blue military wear is looking absolutely on point, as is his twizzly moustache with one eyebrow slightly raised than the other. And his voice can probably be heard echoing through these renovating halls of the castle. And when people hear his voice, they hear, "Oh yeah, Fisk. Bit further. No, reach, Fisk. Reach for it. Oh, come on, boy." Fisk is a lot older than Gustav, but he still calls him boy. "Come on, boy, you can bloody do it." And he just kind of takes his saber out of the ground and just gives Fisk a pat on the bum with the blade just to give him that extra little push. He's hanging up a painting of Gustav.
Of Gustav, yeah.
There you go, Fisk. Bloody great job. Look at that beauty. Salute you, sir.
Yes, quite so, sir. Says Algot Fisk as he carefully levels the painting to ensure that it is hanging just so on the wall. Is that to your satisfaction, sir?
Very good, Fisk. Now tell me, you look at that painting, Fisk. What is it that really strikes you about the way I stand in that painting? And then I strike the exact same pose that's in the painting.
Yes.
Really isn't my place to say, sir, but you make a very striking figure.
I do, don't I, Fisk? And you're right, it's not your place to say. Coffee, Fisk.
Of course. I see that we have some prepared. And miraculously, as if he knew what you wanted before you even knew yourself, a carafe of coffee and a china cup on a tray appear and are provided for you with just exactly the right amount of cream and sugar that you require.
Oh.
Bloody good show, Fisk. Bloody good show.
And our third society member, who has the air of a scholar. Graham, would you like to describe who we see?
So, passing down the hallway, walking towards this portrait of Captain Gustafsson, is a gaunt young woman carrying a rather thick book and a candle, and she takes a moment to look at the portrait, and then looks at Frisk and says, "He just looks very uncomfortable, doesn't he?"
Well, Miss Holgram, I'm sure that the strictures of the battlefield were rather difficult to overcome, but I'm sure that the captain has nobly strived. Now,
You're right. He probably has piles or something wrong with his leg or something. I shouldn't criticize. And then she sweeps away and closing the door to the library, puts her book down. Now this is Liv Holgram, a very serious young woman who always says exactly what she thinks with very little filter, even when there should probably be a filter. Very serious young woman. She grew up on a farm, a long while ago. You can tell that by the way that that her clothes, she's stitched them all herself, and there are patches on them where she's mended them herself. She grew up on a farm, but became fascinated by academic study, especially of slightly stranger biological creatures. So these sort of fairy tale, these weirder creatures, and if she's going to break down the doors of academia, these are the things she's going to study. She's very, very excited to be studying here with two such serious academics. She thinks the other two are academics. We'll come to that. As she's standing there, she puts on her table a little music box which starts playing a tune. It's a little object from her childhood, which she always keeps with her, finds very comforting. And she also takes a flask and pours a little delicate glass of milk for herself, and just sips it. It's not milk; it's laudanum. She has quite a serious addiction. And it keeps her calm, and as the sort of candlelight flickers around her, she downs the laudanum, puts the glass down a little too hard, and starts reading her book.
Thank you so much, Graham. Thank you. I'm sure that Miss Holmgren's erudite pursuits into the invisibles and her studies in general will serve a very important purpose in unraveling the mystery that is about to be revealed to you. And I think this brings us to a very good point in terms of the game of Vaesen and the characters that inhabit the world. Each one of these Thursday's children, they have had some sort of a trauma. This is one of the things that they have in common. They've had some sort of a trauma that has awoken in them this ability to see supernatural creatures. Most of these creatures, they remain hidden from the world. If they don't want to be seen, they won't be seen, except by those who have the sight. And this can serve them very well in certain circumstances in terms of being aware of what's going on around them that other people might not be aware of. But obviously it sometimes leads them into, interesting escapades, shall we say. The other thing that our Thursday's children have in common is that each one of them has a dark secret. Something that has shaped them, but that perhaps they do not wish to share with anyone other than maybe one or two people who are particularly close to them, that they particularly trust. Or perhaps they don't trust anyone and don't share their dark secret with anyone at all, but it sits in the back of their head, always there, always a still small voice that whispers away, reminding them that there is more to them than people know. And with that, let us move on into the parlour, where there is a small table which has some letters on it, and one of them is addressed simply to the Society, and it bears a red wax seal with the name of Clint. Would somebody care to pick this letter up from the table, open it, and describe its contents?
Oh, look, a letter. That's probably for me. Probably one of the chaps from the base. Can I ask, Spike, is this handout one?
It is indeed, yes.
Right, let's have a little look-see.
Really fast. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Newman, just so I'm on the same page with Spike. Am I okay for March 29th?
No.
No, I am on the other
Handout
one. Okay.
Handout one.
There we go. And we're cooking with grease, allegedly. I am not cooking with grease. 2 seconds, Newman. Y'all know this is a Symphony stream. Y'all know how this get down. I forgot to put the handouts on top of the overlay. So they're buried beneath the overlay. So give me 2 seconds. Y'all know how this is. Don't act brand new.
Perfectly describe how in this moment I can destroy Liv's peace and laudanum experience of reading the book and
This
come
is
over
good.
and do this in a absolute demonstration of pay attention to me whilst I'm reading this.
Here's a question. Here's a question for Liv then. Does the society, do any of the other members of the society, are they aware of your laudanum addiction, or is this something that you keep hidden from them, keep secret?
Oh, I absolutely keep it hidden, and I would think they think that she's just a nice farm girl who likes drinking milk.
Of course. And sometimes she feels a little dizzy, but who doesn't?
Especially first thing in the
fresh
morning.
Air of Uppsala, absolutely, yeah.
Green light, you're good to go. My bad, guys.
Go for it.
Okay. Right, listen up. Miss Holgram, put your milk down. Let's have a little ready-roo, okay? Right.
Good morning to you too, Captain.
Well, hang on. This is a handwritten note. Oh, look, I think it's advertising a play. That's quite wonderful, isn't it? Ever been to a play? Hannah?
Have been to plays. Yes, Captain, I have.
Oh, very good. Very good. Wasn't sure if you're the type for the plays and culture and things. Anyway, this one, very clever. Dance of Dreams. They call that alliteration where I come from. Lovely little play on words there. Right. A shadow play of horror, murder, and revenge. Let yourself be enraptured and terrified by shadow theatre, with clockwork as amazing as that of the master's constructions on the continent. Ooh, okay. Watch as evil smiles. Good people go to their doom, and spirits come to life. Follow Oscar Hjort's encounter with the Black One, his struggle, and finally the betrayal which claimed his life. Hear the tunes of the enchanted flute that sends souls dancing to hell. The show will premiere shortly at the Witch Cat Inn, not for the faint of heart. Hold on. Something written here. Meet me tonight at the Witch Cat Inn. Olaus. Klaus. I think it says Olaus.
That was a very theatrical reading, Captain. You have a background in theater yourself?
No, some of the boys and I in the trenches used to read a bit of poetry to each other, keep up spirits and whatnot.
Did that keep up your spirits when you did that to them?
My spirits, very kept up.
Right,
yes,
right,
yes,
I can imagine.
Very good,
Yes,
very good.
yes.
Quite the orator. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, they would often say, go on.
At that precise
Is that what
moment,
they
the
were
dog
saying?
yawned very loudly. Right at her feet.
And Algot Frisk is at your elbow as if out of nowhere. He has a habit of doing this, of just sort of appearing when you least expect him, but more often than not, when you actually need something.
Mr. Frisk, Hannah and the sergeant and I will be going to the Black Cat Inn. Do you know where that is?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, Miss Holmgren, but I have no doubt that there will be something in the castle's extensive library that will be able to assist you in your endeavours.
Yes, of course. I can go and look immediately. Sergeant Svensson, do you want to come to the library and help me look?
It's Captain.
Oh, okay.
Gustav Gustafsson, Captain.
Sven Svensson.
Gustafsson.
I knew it was a repeat.
Gustafsson.
Oh, I see. Okay. Captain Gustafsson, would you? I don't know if you're able to read, but would you like to come and look around the library with me? I didn't want to presume.
No, you presume away. I read many things.
I guess
times
you did
a
just
day.
read that letter in some fashion, didn't you? Well, yes. I'm about to go to the library, so I will go and do some exploration there.
And I will also explore libraries.
All right.
Explore libraries. Okay.
What I'm going to do just now is, if you're wanting to find out a little bit more information about the what's been detailed in this what looks like a flyer for this play, The Dance of Dreams, I will ask you all to make me a learning test. Now, this will represent either if you want to go down to the library and look through the castle's extensive records, books. There's also records of the society as well from its previous its previous investigations and so forth from years gone by, then we will see what you can find. Now, in order to make a learning test, you have your dice pool of d6s, and learning is based on the attribute, the skill learning is based on the attribute logic.
Okay.
So however many dice you have in logic, you add that to however many dice you have in the learning skill. So say you have, for instance, 5 in logic and 3 in learning, you would roll 8 dice, and any 6s you get are a success. You might also have a talent, which will give you additional dice if you have a talent that gives you extra dice for learning tests, or if you have perhaps some equipment that might be relevant for a learning test, that might give you an extra die or 2. So if you'd like to roll some d6s and let me know if you get any 6s, just 1 6 will be enough to get you some information out of the... Okay, splendid.
Our academic is the one that didn't get a success. That's amazing.
My goodness me, no successes for Liv.
Oh no, I've got successes.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, I saw Graham laughing, and I was just like,
Oh, okay.
I was like 6 6s right there.
I was laughing because I rolled 11 dice and got 1 6.
Holy shit.
That is 0 engine for you.
Yep.
So that's plenty to know a little bit about the letter and the things that are mentioned in it. Whether it is through actually going through some of the books in the library, whether it is through just knowledge and experience, you will know the following. This name Clint, Olaus Clint, let's say... now, who might have heard the name Olaus Clint? Perhaps Captain Gustafsson has heard of Olaus Clint. He is a resident of Uppsala. He has a small house somewhere in the middle of the city, and he is by profession a private detective. And the thing that is interesting about him in particular is that the cases that he specializes in and where he's made a little bit of a name for himself in the field is that he investigates cases involving the occult. You will also have heard, let's just say, maybe Bridgett, maybe Hannah she's quite widely travelled throughout the course of her life. Perhaps she has been in and around the part of the country wherein the Witch Cat Inn can be found. Okay. It is a small inn, sits at a crossroads, just a few miles north of the town of Sigtuna, which is south of Uppsala. It's 3 or 4 hours carriage ride away. You do know, and maybe you find this through flicking through some of the records of the society in years gone by, that there was a fire in one of the society's buildings at the end of the 18th century, and they had to decamp to use another building in order to hold their meetings. And the building that they chose was the Witch Cat Inn. Okay. And the reason they chose it was because the innkeeper at the time was a man by the name of Piri Harjula, and he was a Thursday's child. And you will also be aware, with that success, that the inn itself is still owned and run by the same family. Okay. Its current landlord is his grandson, whose name is Sammy. I think. Yeah, Graham, Liv, as she is poring over the books in the library in the society, she will come across some information about the history of Europe and famous figures, notorious figures maybe, and she will find this name Oscar Hjort. Oscar Hjort was a writer. Around the late 18th century or so. He spent some time in Paris. He studied under François-Dominique Séraphin, who was a very famous artist who put on these shadow plays. And these plays were put on for the the glitterati of the time, the royalty, the kings and queens, princes and princesses, and aristocracy at Versailles and the Palais Royal and these sorts of places. So in terms of the letter itself and the names mentioned and that kind of thing, that's the information that you have. You'll also find, if you look into shadow plays to find out a little bit more about those, that a little bit of the history of them originating in India and China many centuries ago. And there are different types of play. Sometimes you get a screen and there are cutout figures and light is projected from behind them, and it makes some shadows that people will move little sticks to move the cutout shadows on to tell stories. And they can almost seem alive if it's performed by a puppeteer with enough skill. And as it spread across Europe, in Italy and other countries in Europe, as the years progressed, they experimented some of them with clockwork automata, which would be used to create automated shadow theatres.
Oh God.
So that is some information that you can find out. That will take you a little bit of time. So you're talking most of the morning to uncover these what hopefully are relevant facts concerning the letter you've received.
GM, just as a point of clarification, because I don't have the handout out and I don't remember if I heard Captain Gustav read it aloud. When is the production scheduled to take place? Tonight? Tomorrow?
It doesn't specify,
okay.
But the flyer has got a note at the bottom in a different hand, which says "Meet me tonight at the Witch Cat Inn," and that's signed by Olaus.
Understood. Thank you for that. So the very first thing that I am going to do is, once I at least have my piece of the information, I and Mads, we're going to head outside and we're immediately going to kind of get a temperature check on what we're looking at as far as weather, if we're looking at traveling today. And then I am just going to kind of like put my more or less emotional, historical travel like tentacles into the ground. And this is all just in her mind. What do I know about the path from point A to point B? Is this, travel through like, areas that are highly patrolled by blah, blah, blah? What type of conflicts are we looking at? Basically, she's getting travel preparations ready. What is the weather going to look like? What type of threats or what type of anticipated travel are we looking at? That type of thing.
Okay, yeah. No, that's pretty easy to find out. It's not a very nice day. There is a storm brewing, you think. The skies are dark and cloudy. There is a light rain falling. You think throughout the course of the day it's probably going to get worse. It's that time of year, though, so it's not entirely unexpected. The inn itself is probably between 3 and 4 hours travel and a carriage. It's almost due south of Uppsala. There are at the crossroads where the inn is, one of the roads heads south down to the town. There's another road that heads west to a little ferry which crosses over the river there, and it's countryside out there. Once you get outside the Uppsala proper, the houses kind of thin out towards it's a fairly big town. It's wouldn't necessarily say it's city size. It's nowhere near as big as Stockholm, for instance. But once the houses thin out, you're entering forest. You're entering pine forest. The road gets more kind of narrow and windy. But as do all country roads in Sweden. Once you get out of the sort of more industrialized, more civilized areas.
Okay. Beautiful description, by the way. So for the next immediate hour or so, my entire focus is going to be weatherproofing this carriage, making sure that we have the supplies that we need in the event that we get stranded out in this storm, extra blankets.
Well, there is a carriage that runs into, it's like what one might call in modern terms a Greyhound bus.
It's a Greyhound bus. Beautiful, even better.
So there are regular carriage journeys. So yeah, you can get a carriage that goes to Sigtuna. And you can ask the coach driver the carriage driver to let you off at the Witch Cat Inn.
Amazing.
That's not something that you're not going to need to get a carriage together yourself. You can,
Okay, we're gonna get an Uber. Got it.
You can get an Uber. Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. What about Captain Gustafsson and Miss Holmgren? What are you doing over the next hour or two? I will say as well that this seems like an eminent point in the mystery to gain advantages. What are advantages? I hear you ask.
Ooh.
Advantages are a mechanical device in Vaesen whereby you can, as a one-off, gain a +2 dice to a dice pool for one skill roll. Now, in order to get that, you've got to do something that trains that skill. So, for instance, you might say, well, I think at some point in the mystery, I might need to use my inspiration skill, my public speaking. There might be a crowd of people that I want to sway the opinion of. So you will do something, maybe practice making a speech or something along those lines for a little bit of time to practice, to warm your vocal folds up and kind of just get your head into that space. And once you've done that, done that little bit of preparation, then you can mark off that you will get an additional +2 dice for one roll of inspiration later on in the mystery, should you require it.
Nice.
Well, that would seem like a silly thing not to do. Let's let's all do that. Liv, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I think Liv is very excited about the idea of actually meeting one of these fairy tale creatures and possibly speaking to them even, and so I think she'd like to read up on the local legends of this area. What I'm aiming for here is some sort of I don't know, if she does end up speaking to manipulation, inspiration roll, something like that.
Okay, so manipulation is kind of your persuade role. Manipulation is being able to sway another individual to your way of thinking in conversation. Inspiration is more talking to a crowd of people. You also have the observation skill, which is another skill based on the empathy attribute, and that is observation of a person. You kind of psychology kind of skill, rather than observation of a situation is more a vigilance or investigation role.
Oh, that's lovely. So I really like the idea in Liv's head that she could actually meet and talk and find out directly from one of these things. So that sounds more like a manipulation. Can she sort of read about sort of these creatures and their aspects and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. There is plentiful information in the Society's records from previous investigations about encounters with different Vaesen, the Nissa perhaps, or perhaps an ash tree wife or one of these other supernatural creatures. Information about how best to approach them, perhaps from an example of a situation where somebody has not gone the best way about speaking to one of these creatures and has come off rather the worse for it. So yeah, absolutely, yeah, you can gain a +2 to your manipulation for a role later on in the game, should you require it. Yeah. Who else would like to do some training to gain an advantage?
Liv is doing that. I think it's only fitting that Captain Gustav Gustafsson probably goes down to one of the ruined ballrooms or such large spaces that he's probably set up as his own little personal armory or training room, and he's got some kind of mannequins in there. And I think with his saber, he's kind of dancing back and two, pointing his saber. But as he's doing it, he's kind of, just going, yeah, chippity choppity tippity toppity off with the toes, tip of the nose.
Oh my God.
And he's just kind of, having his kind of way around with his sword. And every now and then, just to himself, he just, not too loud, but he just kind of mutters to himself, just kind of going, yeah, take that, you bloody little freakish monster. Yeah, try that again, will you? Huh?
Can I just say, I absolutely love the idea of Liv trying to research in this library while downstairs there's this kind of bosh.
Teamwork makes the dream work. We all have our roles.
So I'm assuming that is for close combat.
Please, yes,
Absolutely.
That is what I envisaged.
And as you knock over various mannequins in your rather exuberant swordplay, Algot Frisk appears out of the shadows, rights them again for you as you turn round to swing round with your saber to provide another killing blow to one of these miscreants.
I think almost in that kind of pattern that they've got there, that Gustav, he's not even questioned it, never questioned it at all. But he is just kind of going, yeah, tippity toppity, take that. Thank you, Frisk. Ja, ja, ja. Good man, Frisk. Excellent, Frisk. Coffee. Yeah, so dab the brow, Frisk. Yeah, so I think he's just got that kind of immediate relationship. He doesn't quite understand, perhaps, how he's there, and he's so attentive.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Frisk has been at the castle longer than anyone else. He turned up at one point when the renovations were beginning and said that he was willing to lend his services as majordomo and butler, and that he had some knowledge of the castle from previous years. Nobody quite knows exactly how many previous years he has knowledge of the castle of, but he seems to have this kind of all-encompassing understanding of the building itself. Some people suggest that he might be rather older than he appears.
Oh.
Others suggest that he might not be entirely human. Nobody is totally sure, though. However, he is supremely skilled and excels at his job. So let us move round. Bridgett, what's Hannah doing? What kind of advantage would she like to gain?
So I think if you will allow it, I would like to push with the agility for physique. And I think that's going to be a series of very quick burst exercises with the dog. So this is going to be warming up our muscles, sharpening our senses. And there's probably like a series of almost like regimented dog training exercises that she goes in partnership with this dog, like everything from the precision throwing a ball against the back of the castle wall at certain angles to make sure the dog can catch it or can come back at her at a certain angle, sprinting back and forth with the dogs. I mean, if you imagine like modern day Andal handling on like a performance or competitive level, she's probably going through multiple of those forms of exercises rolled back for this era and genre with that particular dog. None of it looks affectionate. She's rewarding the dog with very static praise or with treats, but there's no ear scratching, there's no kissing, there's no hugging, it's all the dog is working, I'm working, we're a team. The dog is working, I'm working, we're working. There's a very deliberate emotional disconnect, at least from her side of the table.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I think there is a kind of a symbiosis there. There is definitely an affinity, and Mads almost knows where you need him to be when you need him to be there. That there's very, very much a kind of a common train of thought. The two of you working in unison and in harmony. There may not be this kind of outward affection from you, but certainly there is a deep understanding between the two of you. At one point, Algot Frisk appears as well, and he kind of bows slightly towards you and says, "Would you care to use the gymnasium, Miss Olsen? I have arranged for some obstacles for you and the young fellow there to train using."
She looks at Frisk and she's getting ready to just do one of those genuine, how the hell do you keep appearing out of nowhere smiles? How do you always anticipate exactly what we know smiles? But the smile like cuts across her lips and then it very quickly falls. And at the same time, her hand was going down to like almost affectionately rub behind the dog's ears, but she immediately like snatches it back as if like something about that action would have been painful. And she restabilizes. She looks at Frisk. Am I disrupting someone? Is there an issue with us practicing outside?
Not at all. I thought this might serve your purposes rather more effectively than the garden.
And her nose wrinkles a bit and she nods. That's
It's
very kind of you,
entirely
Frisk.
it's entirely your choice. Wherever suits your purposes best.
As long as I'm not a disruption, we'd prefer to be outside, but thank you.
Not at all. Not at all. Would you care for a glass of something?
There's another pause, and she wants to smile at him, and she just shakes her head. No, Frisk, but your attentiveness and your awareness of the needs of your peers around you is truly remarkable.
Well, one does one's best. Luncheon will be served in half an hour.
And just with a frustrated flip of her wrist, she throws this ball at just lightning speeds against the wall. It ricochets off. The dog takes off running. We'll be in soon. Thank you.
Very good. And he disappears back into the building. So you can spend the rest of the morning continuing your training, continuing your research, continuing whatever it is that is taking your attention. You can have a spot of lunch. Frisk has arranged for the carriage to pick you up, and you can gather together whatever bits and pieces you feel you might need, and then climb aboard and head south towards Sigtuna and the Witch Cat Inn. Is there anything specific that you would like to bring with you?
Liv obviously packs lots of books into crates, and that's kind of it. And I think just before they leave, she says, Lieutenant, it's just a suggestion, but
Captain. Captain Gustav Gustafsson.
What was your father called?
Gustav.
So was your grandfather called
Gustav?
Right.
It's a family name, you see.
It's a family name. Of course it. Thanks. I'm
My grandfather, my father, my mother,
Thank
and
you.
me. We were Gustav.
Love, and you've never had any. Never mind. Okay. What I was going to suggest was, as we get on the carriage, in case the driver needs any direction or anything as we're going, perhaps you could sit up with him. And
very good. Saw me playing with the old compass, did you?
I just think that if you sit up there and then me and Hannah sit in the comfort of the carriage, then you can give any direction needed to the driver.
Yeah, you'd feel safer, wouldn't you? Yeah, I
yes,
understand.
I would. Very, very much safer. Thank you.
Right. Hold on. Is the carriage is moving, GM?
Can be, yes. Let's get you into the carriage. So the driver will help Liv up with all the boxes of books, pile them and strap them down to the roof of the carriage. There is room inside the carriage quite comfortably for 4 people, and obviously there's the little seat to the front where the carriage driver sits, and the horses are got their bridles on and are waiting to be off. The rain is falling now, so I imagine you're all wearing waterproof clothing, warm waterproof clothing, or have an umbrella, or possibly both.
I've got my big thick military jacket. If it's all right, GM, I will as the carriage starts to go and Liv suggests I go up top, and I've completely misinterpreted Liv's intentions as to why I do that. I think I'm just going to swing the door open and swing around, climb up the side, and plonk my bum down without even closing the door to the carriage, just carelessly. Plonk my bum down up to the top next to the carriage driver. Hello, good chap. Don't mind me. Budge up.
Do you not want to sit inside the carriage, sir?
No, on duty, you see. Can't rest on duty.
Well, very well, sir. If that's what you want to do, then hold on tight. And
holy
and the horses are off, and we move to a winding road going through pine trees. A crack of thunder makes the horses rear and whinny. We've been here before, and you head through. You've been traveling for almost 4 hours now, and it is it is getting dark. Night is falling, and eventually, after some time, you are cold and wet, Captain Gustafsson, particularly so, because you've been sitting outside. The carriage driver, of course, he has a thick, heavy, oiled jacket which protects him from the water. He's used to this. This is his stock in trade. But maybe it's not the most comfortable ride for you, Captain Gustafsson. However, after almost an eternity, it seems. Through the flashes of lightning that occasionally crack through the sky, you can see, as you travel along, as you look out the window, you can see through the trees moss covered lumps of stone that brood ominously in the forests, which go further back into the depths. And what dwells within these deep, dark forests, I leave to your imagination. Perhaps it's just squirrels and magpies and the like, but perhaps it's something a little bit darker. Perhaps it's something a little bit older. And as you travel down through these winding roads, eventually you see before you a crossroads, and at the crossroads, an inn, the Witch Cat Inn. It's surrounded by the woods. To the north and west is Lake Malar, and you know that one of the side roads here heads off to the ferry port that crosses the lake. There doesn't seem to be any other dwelling places around. And the coachman pulls up. He seems quite eager to drop you off and be on his way. So he unloads the boxes, the crates from the top of the carriage fairly swiftly, and maybe not quite as gently and carefully as one you might desire. Plumps them down onto the ground, and he gives you a fairly curt nod. He'll open the carriage door for you and make sure you get out safe and sound. He says, I'm on to Sigtuna now. So, here you are. Witch Cat Inn. It's here.
Thank you. Be safe on the road.
Aye. You be safe.
Is everything quite all right?
It's a bad storm, but otherwise, as good as it's going to get. Climbs back onto onto his seat at the front of the carriage, cracks the whips, and you see the horses move off the carriage behind it, and they start heading down the road south towards the town, which you know is about a couple of miles away or so. And through the trees to the south as well, about halfway between here and the town, you can see protruding up above the tops of the trees. You can just see the church tower of the Bilby Church, which serves this small community around these parts. As you turn and look at the inn itself, you can see that, well, apart from anything else, it doesn't look particularly inviting. It is fairly run down looking. It's clearly not been looked after well, not been well maintained. The guttering is drooping. There is rain gushing out of spouts where the downpipes should be. The roof appears to be slightly sagging. The timber as well is not been taken the best care of. There is a stables sitting beside it in much the same state of repair, in which you can just make out that there's a wagon and two horses. And you can also see that there's a garden, or what maybe once was a garden, to the rear of the Witch Cat Inn, but it's very overgrown. You can see brambles and long grass and overgrown shrubs and bushes. Back there, you think there is the remnants of what was maybe once a fairly reasonable sized greenhouse or conservatory, but the panes are broken and dirty, and the wood the paint has flaked off the wood and it's sagging in places, and all the whatever would have been growing in it has long since gone wild, and it's clearly not been tended in a very long time. And there's also a root cellar, this kind of mound of earth with a wooden door in it, which is used to keep the root vegetables and that kind of thing. You can see that is over to the left-hand side behind the stables, and a little outhouse as well, as you look around. The other thing you see is sitting on a bench under the eaves of the stable is a man. He looks like it's difficult to tell because he's in shadows. He's smoking a long pipe. And this is where I bring out my prop.
Hey, here we go. Yes.
He's wearing a wide-brimmed hat, which is protecting him from the rain as the wind whips, and you can hear the thunder rolling in the distance. And he's got a fairly heavy waterproof jacket on, and a pair of leather boots. He sits there. You see the glow of his pipe. And he rises from this bench as you arrive, and slowly kind of walks over towards you. Sorry, yes.
I was just going to say, if he's coming over to talk to us, I'm pulling out my beautifully ornate pipe.
There we go.
Which is from my mother's side of the family, my great grandmother Gustav.
The Gustav side, yeah.
And I kind of pop the pipe in, and as this clearly older gentleman walks over, I'm going to go, you boy, have you got a match? Seem to be out here.
Oh, God.
Just kind of looks at you and says, "A man who does not bring matches for his pipe is an ill-prepared man. I hope you are better prepared in other ways than in your smoking habits."
Oh.
And he tosses you over a box of matches. Well, you are from the society, yes?
Yes, sir, we are. If you'll excuse me, do I have permission to move these boxes inside?
I do not need my permission. I am Olaus Klimt.
Mr. Clint.
Olaus. I'm literally copying the exact way he's smoking.
I'm glad you came.
I think Liv will ignore this because she, unless you want to keep us outside, Spike, but ignore this and take her precious books and get them into the inn as soon as possible.
Get them in, yep.
Okay, yeah. Will you need a hand with your boxes?
No, I'm fine.
Very well. He will kind of
get the boxes.
Watch. He'll kind of watch, and if you're all making your way into the inn, he will kind of shrug his shoulders and move on into the inn with you. You walk into a building that inside is not much better condition than outside. This was clearly an inn which, well maintained, would be quite cozy. There is a fire roaring in a fireplace in the large room that you walk into, which you think takes up about half to 2/3 of the ground floor or first floor, depending on where you live. Of the building, there is one more floor above, and it is decrepit. Is possibly the best word. It is in some state of decay. It's not falling to pieces, but it's definitely needing some work done to it. There are drips coming from the ceiling, which clearly the rain is getting in through the roof, and there are pots that have been put out on the floor to catch the water. There are shutters on the windows to keep the worst of the weather out. So it's warm in here and it's dry in here, and in that sense there's a kind of convivial enough atmosphere. You're not alone in this inn. To the left there is a counter Behind it stands a man he looks like he's in maybe his late 40s or so. He has got a large grey beard and a shock of grey hair. He wears an apron. He is fairly portly, but looks strong with it. And he's definitely got the air of somebody who is in charge. In the main part of the room, there are several chairs and tables around, and there are 3 people sitting at various different places. There is a man who wears simple sweater and trousers, fairly rough, looks like he's maybe works the land here. He's sitting over a bowl of some hot food, and he's got a beaker of what looks like beer probably there as well. He looks like he's maybe in his kind of 40s or so too, roughly of ages with the man behind the bar, but he has a much more kind of gentle, good-humoured looking face to him. The man behind the bar has got quite a stern look to him. There is a woman, a youngish woman, 20s, 30s maybe, who is better dressed. She looks like, maybe similarly dressed to Liv. She is sitting. She has a glass in front of her, and she has got a book that she's clearly reading. And she kind of glances up just very briefly as you come in, takes you in, and goes back to her book. Sitting beside the fire with some food, some steaming hot bowl of stew perhaps in front of him, and a glass of wine, is a much older man, probably in his 60s or so, and he wears the dress of a country priest.
Okay.
He's got he's bald, grey hair, and he's writing little notes in a little notebook with a pen or a pencil, and he's got what you think is quite possibly a Bible sitting open in front of him on the table, which he's referring to every so often as he scribbles something in his notebook. He looks up as you come in and smiles and nods, and then goes back to his notes. Moving around the area are 2 younger people. There is a girl who looks like she's maybe 16 or 17 or thereabouts. She has got kind of a roundish face. She's not what one would call classically beautiful, but she is attractive, and she is attending to the various people that are drinking and eating here. And there is a young man who looks like he's maybe a year or 2 older than her, who is stick thin and has got plenty of teenage acne on his face, and kind of a flop of black hair. You do notice every once in a while a little sidelong glance between the 2 of them, possibly when the man behind the counter isn't looking, and a little shy smile from one or other of them as they then go about their duties, as you are bringing in your trunks and your cases and your whatever suitcases you might have brought, if you've brought any other equipment with you. I can't do that.
Newman! I'll have to figure out if that's Zoom or Twitch. I don't know what that is, but that is brilliant.
Whatever it is, it's delightful.
It's also creepy that somehow the camera is recognizing that I'm making heart. Whatever. I'll get to the bottom of that later.
Camera, or is it something watching through the camera?
It's Frisk.
So it's Frisk.
As Frisk, it is Frisk.
So as the door opens and this kind of howl of cold air comes into the place, the man behind the bar kind of barks an order at the young man who's kind of waiting at table. He says, "Sven, see about our new guests. Help them bring their stuff in. Go on, lazy boy."
And Liv says to Gustav, "Is he a relation of yours?"
Who, the chap giving orders?
Just similar style.
Yeah, lovely chap. Probably going to have a bit of a chat over them.
I think Liv will walk over with her boxes of books, place them on the bar, and say, "We require accommodation."
Accommodation? Aye. How
We're
many
academics.
rooms? We've got 2.
3.
Ah, well, one of you have to sleep in the stables then.
Hannah looks at the two of them, kind of like, we already know how this is going to go. Let's just skip past the whole, let's be sad about it.
Liv looks at Hannah and goes, shall we share? It's going to be easier.
If that works for you, Miss Hallgrim, yes. However, if you would prefer your privacy, this will not be the first nor the last time that we sleep in the stables.
She smiles and goes, no, that's absolutely fine. Looks slightly doubtfully at the dog, and then turns back to the barman and goes, we'll take the rooms. We're academics involved in serious study.
All right. How many
Serious
nights?
study.
All right. Serious study, is it? Oh, well, he doesn't have a pipe, so I'll put that down. Serious study.
As long as it takes.
Well,
Liv, because she's a bit nervous about this conversation, swigs a bit of her milk to fortify.
well, it's a kroner a night for the rooms, each. Night in advance. Sven, get a move on, will you?
I love this NPC.
Yeah, we can have that covered. That is not a problem. Very good, very good.
Right, Sven, take these bags up. Show them rooms 3 and 4. Aye, take them up. Show them. Show them. And the boy says, "Room 3 and 4." Yes, Mr. Ardula. Yeah, I will do. All right. Well, don't get a bloody move on then. Sorry about he's not quite right in the head. Yes. Sophia. Yeah, clear up the father's table there and go and help Ingle in the kitchen. Go on. Yes, Papa.
I'm just curious. Taking a read on the professionalism or even just like the efficacy of these two teenagers, do they actually need this degree of micromanaging? What the hell is happening? Where did the balloons come from? What is happening?
That's for balloons.
Do the degree of micromanaging, do these kids actually need the...
Ooh, well,
okay. I tried
let's have a roll, shall we? Let's
Okay.
have a roll. Why not? Why don't you give me an observation roll?
Okay.
And you can kind of maybe get an idea of the dynamic here of these people.
Okay. Observation looks like it is tied to empathy. So I have 2 on the skill
yeah.
itself. And
Yep.
if I scroll up to empathy, it looks like I have 4. So guys, I am rolling that many D6. No successes.
Okay, difficult to tell. Certainly this guy is very much taking charge, very much giving instructions, and possibly not really waiting to see how well they're carried out before he criticizes how badly they've been carried out.
Okay.
But well, they're young. They need to be taught clearly, and he's an older fellow, and he's in a supervisory capacity, so he's making sure they don't make mistakes because they've got guests. Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask. Is Olas Clint? Does he come in as well?
Yes, he comes in with you. He's just kind of standing, watching.
I was going to gesture him over to
in.
us, as if
Time for
Sven's
bite.
taking our stuff up. It was Sven, take our stuff up. Well, we'll come and have a look in a moment, boy. We just need to talk business. Anna, Liv, proper introductions. Mr. Clint, come.
He kind of takes one step towards you, and he's right beside you.
Quite right. Thanks for coming over. I don't know if I had the chance to do proper introductions. These are my sidekicks. I don't know.
No,
what the
Captain,
official
you should try
titles
that
are.
again. You should try something more respectful from that, please.
Associates,
Colleagues, fellows.
fellows. We are a
Fellows.
We are a group of fellows. Clint.
He just stands there waiting for you to finish.
And we wanted to say thank you for your note.
Yes. You're welcome.
Yes.
Shall we have a seat and speak?
I think that'd be a very good idea.
Sammy, can we have something to drink and something to eat, please? Aye. The big man behind the bar barks out. Aye. Sophia, get Ingler to do up some food for these people. And get them some drinks. Yes, Papa. And the girl kind of rushes into the back room. There's a little door behind the counter there. And you can hear from inside another room, we reckon must be the kitchens at the back there, you can hear a woman's voice kind of singing to herself as there's a faint sound of kind of bubbling, and the smells of stew come out through the cooking food come out through the kitchen door. So yeah, you can grab a table. Just there's a table not far from the fellow who's sitting, the fellow who looks like he's maybe a farmer, sitting, eating his stew and drinking his beer. And he looks up at you and smiles, and Clint gives him a kind of a nod. Huh? And then he sits down with you.
Clint, it's very, very good to see you again, and lovely to see you again, I say loudly for all the pub to hear, and then I'm going to slide the advertisement for the play just onto the table, just so that Liv and Hannah can see it, so we all know what we're talking about, and so that Clint can see it, obviously with his writing on, and just say, so what can you tell us about this Dance of Dreams?
Oh, well, what I can tell you is that the young girl, Sophia, she's putting this on. That's Sammy. He's her father. He's the landlord here, and he's not too keen on the idea. I don't know too much about them. I've only been here just this evening, and I was here a few days ago. But I've asked around, and there's something going on in this place. Something different. You understand what I mean?
Yes, I think I'm kind of nudging Liv and nudging Hannah. Yes, I think we do understand what you mean.
Something invisible. Huh?
Well, I'm not sure I understand. So you're saying that a girl is putting on a play and her father slightly disapproves?
Yes, but that's not why I asked you here.
And there's something invisible. Keep up, Liv, come on.
You've seen the state of this place.
Yes.
Yes.
Disrepair.
It's not disrepair. Something more than that. I have spoken to some of these guests and others, the people who live in the neighborhood and so forth. There is a rumor going around that this building is in the grip of magical powers. And that's why I called you in. I too have a certain amount of experience with this sort of thing, but I need some help and assistance. I was here a few days ago, and I felt something here, something indefinable, but it frightened me. Power. There's a power somewhere here, and I need some assistance in figuring out exactly what's going on.
Liv is incredible. So her eyes light up. I mean, assuming we'd been brought drinks or something by now.
Yeah, so the young girl will come over to the table and say, hello, what can I get you to drink?
Just a glass for me is absolutely fine.
All right, a glass. Do you want some water in it or something?
Yes, whatever. Put a drink in it. That's fine.
Bring your best wine for all of us, girl. Come on.
Best wine, yes.
Best wine. Oh, we've got some good wine. We've got the best wine, yes. We'll bring you the best good wine.
Yes.
Very good.
The lieutenant's paying. So,
Captain. Well, he's captain.
The captain's paying. So, and she's absolutely delighted. So she will take the good wine, she will pour her laudanum into it, and without thinking, and just go, this is such an exciting study. We'd be delighted to. Do you have any idea of where we should start?
Okay.
The girl is kind of looking over the two of you at Hannah. Do you want something to drink as well, miss?
It's Sophia, right?
That's right, miss. Yes, Sophia, yes.
How are you tonight, Sophia?
I'm very well, thank you, miss. Would you like something to drink?
I would. And then I am going to deliberately clean up all that bullshit that just happened that was disrespectful to that girl. The table with like a single flask of blah, blah, blah. If that could be accompanied with water, we'd greatly appreciate it. As far as food, we'll have all of that bullshit that was just thrown at that girl like she wasn't a real person. I'm going to spend the time on acknowledging her, seeing her, cleaning that all up into a neat order. And it's to my understanding that you are putting on a play tonight, tomorrow?
You've come to see the play. I can do it tonight for you if you like.
Visual check-in with the captain, because that's their title, and Liv. Tonight would be lovely, dear. Would you be prepared that soon?
I can do it. It's upstairs. I can do it, but we've got to be careful because my father doesn't really approve. So I'll get everything set up and then I'll come and let you know.
We came a long way to see this place, Sophia. That'd be very delightful. Please.
Did you get the flyer? I made up some flyers and me and Sven, we passed them out and we've got people to pass them out. Oh, it's wonderful.
I'll tap on the table. Very good flyer. Very good. We're very excited and a preview. Well,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm so glad you've come. And you can tell that she's kind of really quite excited about the idea that she's going to have an audience for this thing. At this point, you hear a roar from over on the other side of the room behind the counter. Sophia, stop dilly-dallying. Come on. England needs you in the kitchen. Hurry up.
Oh, there's a growl that everyone at the table can hear that's sitting right in the center of her chest. She doesn't say anything, but everyone can hear that growl.
She rushes off into the kitchen.
And the other thing that we can just clean up, which I thought is what Bridgett was going to say, can we address this bullshit, was, did we see Liv absently mindedly just tip something into her drink in front of all of us? Because
the amount of me and Newman doing this.
Yeah, because I think Graham, you were saying Liv was so excited she did it absent-mindedly.
Oh yeah,
very much in front of us. So if that's okay, GM, absolutely. I don't know whether we roll for that, whether we pick up on that.
Well, I mean, let's ask Graham. How obvious is it that you're pouring some?
I'm totally happy for it to be obvious. Right. Yeah, okay. And it looks like milk, right? So wine, and she's put kind of absently just adding a bit of milk to her wine.
Oh yeah.
Is it something we see, or do we roll for it, GM?
Well, you see that she's adding something that looks like milk to her wine. Whether or not you make any assumptions based on that is entirely up to yourselves.
I'm going to make some assumptions. I feel good about assumptions today. I like assumptions.
I tell you what, why don't you both make me observation rolls?
Oh, here we go.
I feel like this is something the captain is going to be pretty... Oh, dear.
Empathy 4.
No.
Okay.
Single success.
You got a success. So what I'll say is that Captain Gustafsson, you can draw your own conclusions, but Hannah does notice that after a few minutes and a few sips of this milk in the wine, Liv's kind of demeanor changes slightly. It's not particularly noticeable, but you've got a fairly keen eye, and you notice that she seems, well, I don't know, just maybe seems a little bit more lightheaded, a little bit more relaxed than she was before. And you think, that's more than just wine.
That's more than just wine. And as I'm thinking back to the days, weeks, months, however long I've been in this woman's company, I've seen her pour herself milk. Like, I'm backwards reverse engineering. It's like, got it.
So, your food is served, and Olaus, yes, he tells you that not only has he heard these rumors about the building being in the grip of magical powers, but this decay, this falling into disrepair, this is really quite recent. This only just started at the beginning of this year. Now,
Really?
This is surprising to you because it does seem like this is, a lot longer, been going on for a lot longer for a building to get in a garden to get into this state. The other thing that he says is that since roughly the beginning of this year, he has heard that passing travelers who have stayed at the inn have had strange dreams. He doesn't know the exact details of these dreams, but it's more than just a coincidence. He thinks the number of people that seem to have had these rather disturbing dreams. He also intimates during the course of the conversation that he also is able to see things that are hidden to most people. So,
Clint, have you stayed here? Have you had a dream?
No. I don't know about the other people here. And he kind of gestures to the priest and the farmer and the young woman.
Liv, you're a reader, aren't you? Have you
Reader.
read about one of these things, these dreams, these invisible people, the buildings that rot? Have you any come across in any of the bookie wookies you've come through?
And Liv is quite embarrassed to be slightly, unless Spike, can she think back whether she's come across anything like this?
Well, I would say that this is all a bit kind of general and vague. You'd need some more specific information to be able to nail down. Everybody gets strange dreams. There could be any number of different reasons for people experiencing odd dreams in a place. There could be a very mundane reason. You'd need to know a little bit more about it to be able to pinpoint it a little bit better.
Liv is actually a little embarrassed being caught out in something she doesn't know, and she I don't think she'll just flush for a moment and then look down at her wine.
Oof.
All right, Liv, do you want a bit more milk in the wine?
Captain.
Well, is it a farmer thing? I don't know. It seems a bit unusual.
Hurriedly tucks her flask away, didn't quite realise what she was doing. She goes, I can study the books after dinner. There are various causes of dreams. We'd need to know more.
Yeah.
That would be very helpful, Liv, please.
Yeah, very good, Liv. Very good.
Mr. Clint, are you aware of someone on the premises by the name of Sammy?
He kind of points his pipe over towards the door of the kitchen, which has just swung open as the man with the beard has walked through into it. So, that's Sammy there.
Another growl is going to radiate in her chest. She's not a big fan of this. Bridgett thinks that NPC is hysterical, but this character is ready to kill him. I don't know if I shared this with you prior to us leaving. Things were moving very fast, but in the 18th century, the last building that housed the society fell to a fire, and
Yes,
many of those were relocated to... So you're aware of this already, Mr. Clint?
I don't know much about the society. But you're saying that this place was used as a meeting place, right?
It was, and it's been held by the same family for generations. The last descendant, at least that I'm aware of, is our big grumpy fellow there.
Yes, yes.
All that to say, if you...
Makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
If you're experiencing something, or if you have reason to believe that there is a cause for something here, you may be right.
It has history. It has history. Well, I mean, you're here. I'll leave you to what you do best. You're more experienced with these matters than I am.
Yes,
That's his
well,
daughter. That's Sammy's daughter, though. That the girl
one doing the
Sophia
show?
that served us. Yes.
Right. So the one doing this show, you see, Liv, is the daughter of the one who owns the place. And the man who owns the place, Liv, you listening? The man who owns the place, what was it, Hannah, you said?
Glaring at the captain.
About the society and using the place and the stuff. You see, Liv, it all links together.
So Liv, letting this wash over a little, turns to Hannah and goes, "We should watch the show. We might find something out."
I agree.
I also agree.
Good.
So glad we're on the same page, guys. So glad.
So the young man comes back down the stairs and kind of comes over to your table, rather. I've put your bags in your rooms now. Do you want to see your rooms, or do you want to finish your meal first?
I think I've finished. I might have a quick look through the books and see if there's any. And I think she just her words kind of trail away, and she just runs off to her room.
All right, I'll show you. Oh, you've gone.
Yeah, so she'll literally a little embarrassed about being caught out, but run upstairs. Yeah,
It's the one of the far end.
okay, fine.
So yeah, well, let's take you upstairs for a few moments as you head up and you go up. The stairs are in the room that you're in. It's basically kind of a 3-room ground floor. There's what you think is probably the staff bedroom, and then there's the kitchen, and then there's this larger lounge dining area with the fire burning in it, and there's a set of steep wooden stairs that run up the back of this area here, and it takes you upstairs into a corridor, and the corridor runs down the sort of the length of the building, down the center of the building, and there's several doors to your right, and then there's a couple of doors to your left as well. Where he's sort of pointed you to go is to the furthest door on your right. That's your bedroom.
It's interesting because he said there are only 2 bedrooms. So what are the other doors?
So you don't know what the other doors are, but
Okay.
you might infer that perhaps there's only 2 available bedrooms.
Available, maybe. Oh, okay.
And also that there's that the innkeeper, the landlord, has rooms upstairs rather than a staff bedroom downstairs.
Oh,
Did
that's
we
good.
get
So
a
there's-
sense? Oh, sorry, Graham, please.
you go.
I was sorry, GM. I may have missed this. Did we get a sense from Sophia where the performance was going to happen?
Not exactly. She said upstairs.
Yeah, she just said upstairs.
Yeah.
Is that a bedroom, an attic, the roof? Ow.
Well, that's a very good question. You also you see there is a trap door in this corridor as well, just outside your bedroom door, basically. So you can go into your room. It's a small room. There are 2 beds in it, so that the two of you can share a room if you need to. You can pore over your books in your room. Or
That is what
there
Liv
something
would
else
do.
you'd
Yeah,
like to do?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so Liv would hit the books. I don't know what everyone else wants to do.
Hannah!
So as you're sitting downstairs, just sort of finishing up your meal, Clint has kind of leant back and he's kind of smoking his pipe. He's leaning back on his chair, and the farmer guy kind of he just kind of leans over towards you with takes a drink out of his beer and says, "Good evening. Are you traveling through, or are you staying in? Did I hear you said you were getting a room?"
Oh, the looks that are going back and forth between Hannah and the captain right now. Yes, we'll be staying for the evening. Have you
very
been
nice, very nice.
occupant for some time now?
Oh no! I'm not staying here. I live just down the road. I'm just having a drink and a bite to eat.
You come here often then?
You get the impression that he's had more than just one. Says, oh yes, I've known Sammy for years. I come here all the time. It's cold outside, just warming myself up, getting ready to head back home again. Well, I'm hoping it might ease off a bit, but I don't like the look of it. It looks like it's in for the night.
Weather. Ha ha. You've known Sammy for years, you say?
Oh yes, known Sammy for years and years.
I see.
Me and him go way back.
Ah, right. Yes, absolutely. Great stuff. Now, what would you be able to tell us about it then?
Well, what do you want to know?
Oh,
You're writing a book
really.
or something. Are you from? You're a military fellow. I can't.
I'm glad you noticed.
Fair
Don't like to talk about it often, but Captain Gustavus, you may have heard of me.
Gustav, no, can't
I'll strike
say
the
as I've
pose
heard
that's
of
in the
you.
painting back at the castle as well.
That pose, the Captain Morgan pose. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness, very manly.
That's exactly what my mother said.
My
It wasn't
boy,
my father.
my boy, were a soldier,
Oh, yes.
Right. Yes, indeed, he were a soldier. Good lad.
Well, let's have a drink to your son, eh?
Oh, well, much obliged, sir. Much obliged. Yes, died on the field of battle. He did, fighting for his country.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, brave boy.
When you say that and you talk about your son who died on the field of battle, there's a bit of a bit of a blank moment that comes on Gustav. There's a recollection of something, and you can kind of Hannah probably can see that he drops out of his normal buffoonery. Yeah, there's a significant moment, especially when you kind of say he died on the field.
Aye, indeed. Broke his mother's heart. He did. Broke her heart. She were never the same since. My boy, she say. My Mads. Oh, dear me. Poor lad. But he died fighting for his country. He died bravely fighting for his country. Yeah. Not like some of his so-called friends. Turned their bloody heels and ran off when they saw the enemy coming. Cowardly bastards. Oh, excuse my language.
No, despicable behaviour.
Yeah. Who do that, eh? Who you tell me? You're an officer in that. You must have seen this sort of thing. Who do that? What sort of a man would run off and leave their friend to die on the battlefield like that, eh? Despicable.
1 second, and I'm just going to bolt for the door to the pub and run outside.
I think you can make me a fear 1 test if you would.
Oh.
Okay. GM, remind me what I'm doing here,
So,
please.
yes, indeed. When you encounter something that causes a fear test, you can choose. You can choose to roll either logic or empathy in order to steel yourself or to console yourself against the thing that's frightening you. So yes, indeed, if you roll logic or empathy for me, whichever way you choose to confront this fear.
I think I'm going to try and roll logic with the idea that this person doesn't know me, doesn't know what I've been through. So what they're talking about, they can't be talking about what I think they're talking about.
Alrighty.
Ooh.
Oh, and if you,
sixes.
I was going to say, well, it doesn't make any difference because you've done extremely well. If you have your companions with you, you get additional dice. So for every companion that you've got, you get 1 additional die onto fear tests. So up to a maximum of 3 dice. So fear tests are worse if you're on your own.
Yeah.
But if
Ooh,
you're
that's
with your friends,
delightful.
they give you kind of moral
cool
support.
mechanic, really nice.
That is a good mechanic.
So Gustav's going to run out into the rain then, and he's going to take a second where he feels like he's about to throw up, and he's kind of shivering. But then there's a moment he comes outside, and I think that thought hits him. How can this person doesn't know him? This farmer doesn't know him. This can't be right. And he shakes it off, swallows a bit of bile down, and then kind of mutters to himself out in the rain and the cold. He goes, "Oh, I'm Captain Gustavus. Yes, I'm a captain." Okay. And then probably just comes back in, but a little bit more sheepish than he was before.
The moment
while
he turns around, can Hannah be right there? Like literally like 20 inches off of his back.
Yeah.
Out in the rain.
Hannah! Hannah!
Are you okay?
I of course. Are you okay?
And I'm going to step in on him. And I'm just going to look at him eye to eye. And there is just this moment where she's trying to ground him with her. And she's going to lock eyes with him. And she's just going to repeat that question. Are you okay? Oh, God. And she's going to hug him.
Oh.
She'll pull him in and she'll hug him.
I think he does start crying. I think he genuinely does start this. He just kind of lets go and he is just weeping, absolutely weeping. And almost thankful that it's raining.
Out in the trees. Is that movement? Is there something there?
I guess we break apart for a second.
Who's out there, Hannah? Who's out in the darkness, moving through the forest, watching, waiting, watching the two of you together, holding each other? How do they feel about that? What will they do? Maybe it's just your imagination. It's just leaves rustling in the wind. It's just the branches of the trees creaking and swaying. It's just the moonlight playing tricks on you. Surely.
Holy shit, that was so chilling. Can I do one more sweep of the woods just to see if I can talk myself off of it's just the moonlight, it's just the leaves, it's just the wind, it's just the storm?
Yeah, it seems to be. It seems to be. In fact, why don't you make me a vigilance test?
I'm scared. Okay.
Just to reassure yourself that there's nothing out there other than nature. Just normal, everyday nature.
No successes.
You can't be sure. Seems unlikely, but maybe you should make a fear test just in case.
Okay, one more time. Fear test is either logic or who?
Logic or empathy.
My empathy is through the roof.
And you get one additional die because you've got Captain Gustafsson with you as well.
Okay. My empathy, honestly, is my second highest score. It's through the roof. I am actually going to opt for logic, which is my lower one, because I don't think this is empathy based. I think this is, she had poured everything she had into that moment, into that hug, and now she needs to convince herself that they're safe.
I will tell you, if you fail a fear test, you will take a condition, a mental condition.
Ain't that some shit? One success.
Excellent. One success is all you need just to kind of grit your teeth and tell yourself that no, it's just your imagination. They can't be everywhere. They can't follow you everywhere all the time, surely.
Oh, but what if it could? And what if it were? Are you strong enough to go back inside?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Just caught me at a rum moment. Thank you, Hannah.
We have those raw moments. You don't owe me an explanation. You never will. May we please go back inside?
Yeah, of course.
She's going to roll up her shoulders, Captain, and she's going to step back and open the door for the officer.
Okay. Meanwhile, while this is going on downstairs, what's happening upstairs?
Wow.
Liv.
I was thinking about this. So, how about if, so we're going to imagine this sort of old, decrepit inn, and in this rather cold room, Liv takes one look at her book, her bookie book, and sort of actually decides not to read it, because she's had a bit to drink, and let's imagine herself in a bit of a drug-induced haze. Let's imagine this sort of dilapidated inn just kind of, hazing about her a bit. And she's been told there's a play upstairs somewhere. She's been invited to it. It would be completely okay if she just wandered into the corridor and tried to find it, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Of course. Perfectly understandable, yes. As long as she's careful, maybe. She doesn't accidentally walk into a private room or something of the like.
And she's slightly unsteady on her feet at the moment, and so sort of, propping herself up on the wall just a bit, and she's going to push on doors.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
She's trying to find this play.
Yeah, you are.
That's absolutely understandable. Yeah,
I agree.
Brilliant.
Let's push on all the doors. I can't wait.
Okay, so you push on the door next to yours, and it's a room very, very similar to yours. And you can see some of the effects of Captain Gustav Gustafsson have been placed in this room.
So it's not in there. Let's try another one.
So the next room along, you push on the door, and it's a little bit stiff. And when you open it, you can see inside that there is, again, it's a very, very similar room, and there appears to be some items of female apparel and cosmetics and that sort of thing. It looks like there's a woman staying in this room.
All right, but nothing. I mean, not a play, but also nothing that immediately would attract Liv's attention.
Not immediately, without going and having a look around.
Let's try another door.
Okay, so you move on to the next door in this corridor, which is the last one in the corridor, and on this side anyway, and it opens into a slightly larger room, and there is a solid, possibly oak bed there. It is a little bit untidy, and it's clearly a man's room. It's clearly a man's room. It looks more like it's a permanent kind of bedroom here, rather than a guest bedroom. Looks like it's possibly the room of the man who owns the inn. You might reach that reasonable conclusion.
Anything? We said there was an oak chest, right?
Yeah, there's an oak chest and a kind of a solid oak bed as well. You can have a little creep about and maybe just kind of just listen to double check that there's nobody coming up the stairs who might disturb you. And yeah, there's shirts and trousers hanging in the wardrobe, and shirts in the drawer, and shaving set. Well, there's not a shaving set actually. There's typical masculine accoutrement.
So you said there was no chest. That's interesting.
Sorry?
You said there was an oak chest. That's interesting.
Oh, just a standard oak chest that you might find in a bedroom.
Okay.
Nothing particularly unusual or untoward. There are a few drips of water coming from the ceiling, landing in a chamber pot on one side of the room.
Yeah.
It's obviously been placed there to collect the drips of water. But
Liv will spend a moment being mesmerised by that. But there's nothing to sort of, there's nothing to immediately attract her attention that she likes books, she likes things like that.
Yeah, nothing particular, no. There's a couple of rooms on the other side of the corridor as well.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I think she would keep looking.
Okay, so you walk across to the other side of the corridor, and just beside the staircase there's a door, and it's locked.
Oh.
This is the first door you've come across so far that's been locked. And from the look of it, from the layout, it looks like it's a slightly larger room. The rest of the others are roughly the same sort of size.
Can I see anything through the keyhole?
It's dark.
Oh. But even if I let my eyes get used to the dark...
It's pitch dark in there through the keyhole. There's obviously no light source at all in there. You'd need to shine a light through the keyhole to be able to see anything in there. Okay. I'm not sure Liv would be very good at picking locks particularly either, which is a shame. You hear footsteps on the stairs, coming up the stairs.
Okay. She's just standing in the corridor, so that's fine. She will she'll move back across to her side of the side of the landing and just wait to see who comes up.
So it's the young man again. He comes up the stairs and kind of sees you in the corridor and says, "Oh, everything all right with your room? I come to make sure everything was all right with your room."
Yeah, and she's just holding herself slightly unsteadily and go, Yes.
Do you need any extra blankets or anything?
Aww.
No. I was looking around. I'm trying to find my companion's room.
Oh, it's just the room beside yours. I've made that up for them. I've come to get need another blanket for that room, and I thought I'd ask if you wanted one yourself. It's going to be quite a cold night, I think, tonight, and it can get a bit drafty around in the inn at night.
Is that room locked? This Liv doesn't have many filters at the moment.
Oh God. Okay, here we go.
I'm sorry. Which room?
That room there. I tried it by mistake. I just.
Oh no, that's private. That were Mrs. Harula's room.
Mrs.
Harula, Nora Harula, Sammy's wife, as was.
Oh, yeah. This place has a whole history with the Harula family, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, she was Mrs. Harula.
Right. But I didn't know about her.
She passed.
And you've just kept her room like that?
Well, not mine to keep.
No, but they have.
Sammy won't let anyone in it. Mr. Harula won't let anyone in it. Says it's private. We're not to go in. We're not to go near it.
What was she like, Mrs. Harula?
Oh, she were lovely.
That's a good question.
She were kind and generous and artistic. She painted, but of course Mr. Harula, he wouldn't have that. She loved to dance and sing, and so did Sophia. The two of them, they'd be singing and all
like
that.
Like a daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but Sammy doesn't. Mr. Harula doesn't like that sort of thing. He wouldn't have it.
Right.
He was very strict with Mrs. Harula.
Mike, is it worth me rolling here?
Yeah, I think he's clearly kind of holding something back. But yeah, if you want to roll a manipulation, you might get more out of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's much I can I can add to this. All right, I'm just going to do a straight roll. I do not have anything there. Is there can I push the roll? Is this a roll I can push?
You can absolutely push the roll. That's an excellent suggestion. So
let's go.
You can pushing a roll is purely mechanical in Vaesen, and you simply re-roll all the dice you've already rolled that you didn't get sixes on. So if you got already got a success and you want 2 successes, you can roll the rest of your dice. If you didn't get any successes and you think, I really actually want to make this into a success, you can re-roll all your dice. However, once you have re-rolled all your dice, you will take a condition, whether you make any successes or not. And in this instance, it would be a mental condition because that's the conditions kind of marry up to the type of roll that you're making. So if you want to push this, by all means, push it.
Totally happening. All right, cool. Here we go. Still nothing.
Okay, so you take 1 mental condition, and you can choose between angry, frightened, or hopeless.
Ouch.
And react accordingly.
I think frightened is the interesting one here, isn't it? Because there's something about, not this woman, but the way this woman was treated by the husband, and I think at this point, Liv will kind of back away down this corridor, still in this kind of slightly drug-induced haze, things swirling around her a little, and she'll go, no, it's okay. I'll just go back to my room. And I think she does. I think she just backs off and just sits there in her chair.
Okay. And the boy Sven kind of watches you back off, a little kind of confused by your reaction, and then he heads back down the stairs again. Now you will take a -1 to all mental skills until such time as your condition is healed. There are various different ways of healing conditions. One of them is interacting with your memento. All the characters have what's called a memento. It's an item of some kind that is of personal significance, and you can spend some time interacting with that memento in some way, and using that you can heal up to 2 conditions. You can also heal conditions by having a quiet scene with another character, another one of the Thursday's children. But I think in this instance, if you wanted to try and heal that condition, then maybe interacting with a memento might be an appropriate thing to do for you.
I think that's great, unless we want to sort of manufacture some sort of scene with Hannah when she comes up to the room, because that could be cool too. But I'm really happy to have a scene with the music box.
Well, what are Hannah and Captain Gustav Gustafsson doing when they come back into the inn?
Anna, did you have any immediate leads or anything you wanted to follow?
So off-table Banner talking with just the table. She's high empathy, high social skills. So she would love to talk to the other people just to see if any of them are experiencing dreams and things of that nature. But that is a mechanical thing. Her personality, the way that she's written, and at least the way I'm envisioning her, she hasn't laid eyes on Liv in the last 30 minutes. That's not particularly okay with her. She would need to at least go and see that character is alive, okay, still intact, especially now that she understands that she's dropping laudanum. So the first thing this character would do in character was like, she's not back downstairs. Let me go put eyes on the child, and then we can figure this out later.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess you guys come back in again. There's another gust of cold air and rain comes in as the door opens and closes. And when you enter, you see Liv's not back downstairs yet, and you can head up the stairs. As you start going up the stairs, you see this young lad coming back down the stairs with maybe a slightly kind of bemused look on his face. He kind of squeezes out the way to let you go past, and you can carry on up the stairs.
Okay, I will head upstairs. Sorry for the thumbs down. Apparently that reaction should get rain to fall, and I thought that would be great for that scene, but it failed.
It just looked like you were saying, this is shit.
Like, I don't like this game. Like, 2 thumbs down should give me rain. Where's the goddamn rain? There it is! There it is!
Call a plumber.
You should have never given me this link. So yeah, I am going to head upstairs right now just to lay eyes on Liv to make sure she's okay.
Well, you know what room you're in. You can head down the corridor to the room at on the far right, and Liv is in there. What's Liv doing in the room?
I think at the moment, just sitting there clutching her music box.
Okay.
Ouch. So double knock on the door prior to entry. I will swing the door open, and ugh, that hurts. I see her curled up in a chair holding her music box.
Yeah, well, sitting upright, very, upright in her chair, just gripping the music box, yeah.
So I'll slip in. And I will shut the door behind me. And there's this moment of weight that comes over my face. It's almost like I can't do this twice back to back. But she's going to push through it. What
Liv
happened?
pulls a book towards her and opens it as though she's reading it. She's totally not reading it.
What happened?
There was a Mrs. Harulia. I've got the name totally wrong. I'd really apologize to anyone. If you're Swedish and listening to this, I'm really sorry. There was a Mrs. Harula, and they keep her room locked down the corridor. And she was the artistic one. And the father tried to stamp it out of her.
Much like he's doing with his daughter.
She looks as if to go, of course.
We should get into that room.
Shall we leave you there for a moment as you're having this conversation? Do you want to have a quiet conversation and maybe share a little bit in order to heal your condition, or?
Yeah, I feel we have shared a little. Are we allowed to count that?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I love the idea of moving on to getting into the room. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
that sounds brilliant. Can I throw one question in, or is it too late?
Of course.
Are you okay with that? We should get into the room. Are you okay?
Not in this place.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And downstairs, we have this man, this large bearded man, ruddy face. He's cleaning glasses behind the counter now. And in the main body of the room, the priest is sipping his wine. This woman with the little spectacles perched on her nose, kind of very sparrow-like woman, is very deeply, intensely in reading her book and licking her fingers. She moves from page to page. And the Klimt is still sitting there, smoking his pipe, just kind of taking his ease. And the other farmer very much the same. What is Captain Gustav Gustafsson doing as Hannah heads up the stairs to see Liv?
I think he's steeled himself, thanks to Hannah, but he is not going back to the farmer who lost his son in at war. In fact, he actively avoids him. But he's going to go and speak to someone, but make 2 tiny stops on the way, especially after everybody said they want to get into the room upstairs. I think the dutiful thing to do is do loads of other stuff, but really quickly. Because everybody loves that guy at the table. I'm living my inner Gustav. He goes past the table that we were all sitting at, and he picks up the bottle of wine and he picks up his glass. And then so he's on his way. He's going to go and sit next to the priest, but as he does, he goes past the woman who is reading her book, and he kind of pours himself a drink and just taps the book with the wine bottle. He just goes, "Oh, a reader! I've got a reader. One of my party. What are you reading there?"
She just kind of glances up at you, and there's this very kind of critical look that she gives you, very almost suspicious look, and she's reading. I'm reading a book. Don't see any business of yours. What I'm reading?
No, I was just engaging in manners and conversation, and just wondered if I said I had a friend who was a reader and you're reading a book, perhaps you'd share what you're reading so I can go back to my friend who's a reader and say, "Hey, there's a book you can read that I've heard about."
Your friend is a reader. He reads books.
She reads books.
I see. Splendid. Well, that's very good. I'm very happy for her. I also am reading a book, and I was reading a book quietly on my own here until just a moment ago. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You can make me
Good.
an observation roll while you're talking to her.
Oh dear. Okay.
Or even a learning roll, actually. Would.
Oh, I got a 6.
Oh, there you go. Good for you.
I got 1
Excellent.
6.
Fantastic. So she's not looking the best. She looks a little cold. Her skin is slightly sweaty. It's a little pale. And she definitely seems very kind of irritable. There's little kind of beads of sweat on her forehead. But you get the impression it's not from the fire, and she's kind of quite twitchy and nervy.
Ooh.
And there's something in your head that kind of makes you think she's on something.
You all right? You remind me of my friend, you know.
Oh,
I'm
God.
perfectly fine, thank you. Are you still talking to me? I'm sorry, I thought I'd made it perfectly clear that I wanted to be left alone.
Oh, right. People bothering you, are they?
Only during the last 5 minutes or so. Up until then, it was perfectly fine.
Oh,
Thank
if I
you.
were you, I'd just tell them to bloody go away. Anyway, Toodles, I've got to go speak to a priest. Man about a dog or a god or something or other.
Well, splendid. Yes.
And
I'm very happy for you.
Absolutely.
Goes back
I'll
into
just
her
kind of
book.
salute and walk off. But I've totally clocked that she's not, like, I'm not just ignorant of her condition, but I've clocked it. But I'm getting the vibe that she kind of wants to read.
Yeah, she kind of wants to. She clearly kind of wants to be. You're not entirely convinced that she's actually reading this book, though. There's something about her manner makes you think that she's kind of gripping it quite tightly.
I'm going to go and sit on the side of the table with the priest, almost with my back to the room, so I can see everybody, but very much her and our bearded landlord. Just keeping them just
Bearded
in
landlord.
view.
The bearded landlord is kind of keeping one eye on everything that's going on, as you know, the young lad kind of moves in and out of the kitchen, collecting plates, pouring additional drinks, maybe providing some cheese or whatever, and the girl as well is doing much the same thing. There's only like a handful of people here to serve, but they clear away all the dishes from your table. They pour another glass for Klimt. But yes, the priest looks up momentarily as you kind of come and sit down. Smiles.
Father, just thought
My
I'd
son.
drop by and
Yes.
give my best.
Well, a very good evening to you.
Yes, and you too. Just, I imagine you have people come out to all the time and just asking bits and bobs things.
Not as often as you'd think.
Oh, right. Well, this is your flock, your clan, your people.
Well, yes, I suppose one could say that indeed. Yes. Captain, are you? Huh? Splendid.
Yeah. Captain Gustavsson, you may have heard of me.
I'm afraid I haven't. No, but don't. That doesn't really mean anything. I haven't heard of anyone terribly much.
Yeah, you're quite right. Well, look, I don't want to take
I'm
up too
Father
much.
Niels Clarhead, by the way. Father Niels Clarhead. I am the parish priest of Bilby over there. You may have seen my little church.
Oh, yeah, the one on
Oh,
the
down the
yeah.
road.
Saw it all the way in. Beautiful looking.
Well, yes, it is God's house.
Yes.
It needs some renovation, but
Not
of
the
course,
only
you know.
place. Is it,
yes.
Father? It needs
Yes,
a bit
indeed.
of renovation.
Yes,
Look at this.
Well, one could say that, but Sammy does try his best. He's constantly fixing things up, repainting, but it all seems to fall apart again very, very quickly. It's quite peculiar. But still.
Father, you must know the family, must you?
Yes, indeed. I've been here a number of years. Yes.
So I'm a guest. Obviously, Sam is such a good landlord. His daughter Sophia. Don't want to put my foot in it, see. Heard someone mention the wife. I was wondering if you could just give me a bit of a tour of the manners around the family. Just don't want to say the wrong thing.
No, I would be very, very circumspect if I were you when referring to Nora Harula. Yes, a very, very sad loss when she passed. Of course, she left some time previously, but yes, indeed. When we heard that, when she heard that she was, she had been struck down with the cholera, it was terribly upsetting for all. Yes, indeed. Especially poor Sophia, devoted to her.
Oh dear!
Yes, it hit her very, very hard.
You heard she was struck down with the cholera?
Yes. Well, yes.
Did you see her last rites?
Oh no! Well, no. She was living far to the south and in Karlskrona at the time.
She wasn't actually here then.
Oh no! Well, no. She had left in the early part of this year, in the spring, early spring. Yes, indeed. Well, I don't think it's breaking any confidences to say she and Sammy were. Sammy's he can be a strict man, if you understand my meaning. And whilst I do not condone a wife leaving her husband, there are certain circumstances under which there is a certain degree of understandability about it.
I see. Oh, well, I absolutely, Father, thank you for, making sure I didn't bring up certain difficulties for our landlord. I appreciate your care and concern, my good man.
Yes, indeed. Well, Sammy is a very, what shall I say, very down-to-earth, very practical sort of a man. He doesn't really like artistic things and that sort of thing. And Nora, and to some degree Sophia, as I understand it, she was a very artistic soul. She had a deep spirituality in her, and she had a great passion for music, theatre. In fact, I believe she wanted a theatrical troupe to play here. They came and she was asking Sammy, this is some time ago now, if they could perform at the inn, and he was very angry at the very notion of it, not happy at all. And I think that it was very upsetting for her, poor dear lady. And well, yes, I think that was all partly contributed, and of course the fact that when she mentioned the fact that she thought this place had some sort of wandering spirit or something of the like here. That did not go down terribly well at all with her husband. Yes.
Yes, sorry, Father. Wandering spirit?
Yes, well, she told me, she asked me what I made of it, whether she thought I could bless the inn and so forth, because she's heard footsteps and a voice whispering in the darkness, and when there was nobody there, but just fanciful imagination. She read all sorts of books on mythology and supernatural superstition and the occult and that sort of thing. Poppycock, of course, but some people become very interested in it. Yes, indeed. There is only one ghost that I know of, and that is the Holy Ghost.
Yes. Yeah, very good. Father, I will thank you for your time. And I'll stand up with my bottle of wine, my glass, and then I'll take a step and then just stop and turn. Father, your ghost, he does forgive everything, doesn't he?
Well, forgiveness is divine. And his eyes start sort of flickering. You see his eyelids growing heavy, and he starts slumping slightly in his seat as his head starts to droop towards the table. And as you glance around the room, you see that the young woman is falling asleep into her book. You see that the farmer is holding on to his beer, but his head is swaying slightly, and he is starting to slowly but surely move towards the table as his body starts relaxing. The young lad, the servant, he was walking to the kitchens carrying a tray with some glasses and bowls on it. He kind of leans against the wall for a moment as he starts slumping down. The tray tumbles from his hand, the glasses spill on the floor, and from upstairs you hear this kind of thump crash noise. The man behind the bar, Sammy, he's kind of looking around at what's going on around him as the fire in the grate starts to change colour. The three guests, Klimt as well himself, he is also starting to slide down the wall towards the floor as he falls off his chair. They all start falling into this deep, sonorous sleep as the red and orange flickers of the flames of the fire, giving out that warm, cheery glow, start to turn a cobalt blue. And instead of heat coming from it, cold air starts wafting towards you. As the room temperature drops further and further, the wine in the glasses starts to freeze. The glasses themselves become frosty and cracked. Upstairs, you start feeling this cold creep into your bones. And in the room, all the guests and the young waiter have fallen fast asleep. This fire is flickering blue, cold. There is icicles hanging from the ceiling where the drops of water were falling into pots. Yes.
Just in that moment, the wine bottle goes down. Gustav draws his saber, but as he does, he shouts, "Live, Hannah!"
And yes, Liv and Hannah, you hear this shout from downstairs. As you see the air in front of you as you breathe out is just mist, it's cold mist, and you start shivering with the cold, this unaccountable, supernatural cold. And you can all make me fear tests.
Oh boy.
Nothing.
Okay. Unfortunately, yes, Captain Gustafsson, as you are on your own at the moment, you don't get any bonuses.
Oh, that's
Liv
right.
and Bridgett, you will both get one additional die.
So is it straight logic plus logic or empathy
Logic or
plus
empathy, yep.
the number of companions? Okay.
Exactly, yes.
No.
Okay. How did you get on, Bridgett?
A single success.
A single success. All right. So, Hannah, you are chilled to the bone, both literally and metaphysically, as it were. But you managed to kind of steel yourself against this. However, both Liv and Gustav, I'd like you to take one mental condition.
Holy hell.
And you may choose which mental condition you would like, if you would like angry, frightened, or hopeless.
I'm going to go with angry.
Right,
Ooh, I like
with
that.
me.
Yep.
Oh, I like that for both of you.
That seems right. So, Bridgett and you and Liv, sorry, Hannah, you and Liv can run down the stairs if that's what you wish to do. While this is going on, Sophia runs out of the kitchen, and as the door kind of flaps as she opens, you can see that the cook Ingela is now slumped over the table in the kitchen, snoring deeply. She's a large red-headed woman in a pinafore and dress. But Sophia is got this kind of look of fear on her face as she glances around the room and she runs up the stairs. Sammy, you hear this and see it whilst the others are coming down the stairs. You probably hear this as well. Sammy just kind of is looking around in what you can only think is sheer terror and panic. And so he goes, no, Nora, no, I'm sorry, Nora, I didn't mean, I'm sorry, no, please, forgive me. And he bolts out, runs round the counter, crashes the front door open and runs out into the night, calling out, Nora, please, Nora, forgive me. And I think, as this happens, it would be a good time to take a little break.
Ooh. Friends of the Symphony, we are going to be back in 7. I was going to do 5, but my nervous system needs to come down, so I'm going to take a full 7 minutes. I will put a timer up for you guys, and cast will see you very soon. Thank you, and we'll see you in just a bit. Holy hell, I think I successfully did that. Graham, you're going to hell for having a glass of milk on the stream right now after everything we've heard from that character. Reins are back into the hands of Mike.
Well, as we left things, the Witch Cat Inn is filled with this bitter, icy coldness, this unnatural, supernatural coldness, which has chilled the very hearts and souls of our Thursday's children. The guests seem to have all fallen into this deep sleep. The young girl, the daughter Sophie Harula, has run upstairs in something of a panic, and in even more of a state, her father has run out, shouting and screaming into the cold, stormy night with the rain lashing down and lightning flashing in the sky. But we have Captain Gustav Gustafsson, we have Hannah Olsen, and we have Liv Holmgren, who are now standing together in the main living space, or the lounge dining space of the Witch Cat Inn. What are you going to do now? How do you react to this strange turn of events?
Liv says, "There's a locked room upstairs. It's the wife. It's Mrs. Harjulia. She was the artistic one." Explaining this mostly to the captain. She was the artistic one.
Yeah, the father was. There's a locked room upstairs. This anger just overwhelms him. A locked room upstairs. He just literally he turns to the stairs and just marches up. He's like bolting up to the stairs, hoping that Liv or Hannah's going to kind of point him in the direction of the locked door.
Yeah, Liv will follow and wave in the direction of the door. Absolutely.
Then he is going to kick it with everything he's got.
There we go. When you're angry and you absolutely positively need to get this shit going, I love it. GM, just as a point of quick clarification,
yes, of course,
Sophia ran upstairs past us.
Yes.
The father, however, ran outside.
Yes, he did.
That's exactly so this is my question to you, off table, especially given the time constraints we have. Split the party or don't split the party? Because I can follow the father or I can go up with the group. Do you have a preference off table?
I don't have a preference.
Okay, so then what I'm going to do is do the thing that's most, this and that, and I'm going to split the party. So as this conversation is happening, Hannah didn't even realize it, but when the temperature dropped in that room, she snatched off the duvet cover or the comforter from that bed. She is going to very quickly wrap that around Liz, spin around Liz, and she's just going to call up to Captain as he's running up the steps. "I'm going after the husband," and she's going to dart out the front door.
Sure. Well, we'll deal with that first of all, Hannah, because you run outside the front door, and the storm has intensified, maybe threefold from what it was earlier on.
Wow.
The wind is whipping round with almost tornado speed. The rain is in the common parlance pishing down. And there is thunder rolling. The trees are swaying in the breeze. It's terrifying to be out here in this weather. As you run outside, you're kind of looking around to see where on earth Sammy's gone. You hear his voice just faintly through the noise of the storm, and he's in the garden. So you can run around to see him. He's basically standing kind of in the middle of the garden, just near where this conservatory, this greenhouse is, and he's got his arms up to heaven, and he's shouting and crying and calling out, and most of it's kind of almost only semi-intelligible, but he seems to be crying out, "Nora! No, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean. Don't. Please, don't take it. No, please. What can I do? What can I say? I'll do anything. Please leave me alone." And he drops down to his knees, and his head is in his hands, and he's rocking backwards and forwards, weeping.
She is fighting the rain that's coming down in sheets that's literally almost like cutting through the fabric on her clothes and into her arms, and her visibility is shot, and she's screaming the dog's name, but she doesn't even know if the dog can hear her over just this uproarious sound, and she's going to cut in front of Sammy as he's like almost prostrate and like begging or prayer, and he falls to his knees. And at least at that point, she feels like she can get in close. She feels like she can at least get into an intimate moment. And if she can fall to her knees in front of him and just grab on to either side of his face, she's just going to scream back to him, "How do I help you? How do I help Nora?"
He just kind of pushes you away with one hand. "You can't help me. You can't help me. It's a vengeance. It's a vengeance. I've done her wrong. I've done her wrong. I should never have touched her. I should never have touched her. I'm sorry, Nora. Please forgive me. Please forgive me."
And I'm going to latch onto his wrist.
Inconsolable.
"Your daughter's inside. What do we need to do?"
"No, no, Sophia. Oh, please, Sophia." And he just kind of grips hold of you and says, "Save her, save my daughter. Please, please, God, please forgive me."
Is there a manipulation roll or anything I can do to try to cut through his grief, his panic, and his fear? Or is he just gone?
You could try and roll a manipulation, but you're not going to get an awful lot out of him. He seems to be just wailing, and a lot of it is self-pity as well.
Okay.
You think you really get a distinct impression that a lot of it is self-pity. He clearly believes he's being punished for his misdeeds. Whether that's true or not is up to your interpretation.
Okay, so inconsolable father, grieving widow, out in the rain in this torrential storm that I can't get through to him. I'm just going to skip the roll and just keep pushing forward. Okay. Her next effort, and feel free to cut scene after me on this one, but sure, it's getting him into a building. She's not going to try to drag his ass all the way back to the tavern. So unless I know, if I remember the description here, there's a greenhouse, and then there's the root
kind
cellar.
Of fallen apart. There's the greenhouse is kind of fallen apart. There's a root cellar with a kind of wooden wooden doors with a sort of wooden bar across them, and there's a stables as well. Stables and a storeroom there as well.
I know the stables are operational, and okay, perfect. So then I'm just going to drag him the best that I can, fighting against the wind and the storm, repeating over the winds, "I'm going to help you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to help her, and I'm going to get him inside the stables."
Maybe let's have a force roll from you then,
God,
because he doesn't really want to go out anywhere. But you might be able to physically get him out there.
All right, guys. She's got a 5 in physique and a 2 in force. Let's see how the world goes. That is a single success. If it's not enough, I'm willing to push.
That is absolutely all you need. Generally speaking, in Vaesen, a single success is enough. In some exceptional circumstances, you might need more than one success.
Okay.
Or more successes give you additional good stuff. But yeah, you can kind of grab him by the scruff of the neck and drag him. He doesn't want to go, but he kind of eventually the fight kind of goes out of him, and you can drag him into the stables and just kind of shove him in. He'll just sit down with his head in his hands, just sobbing to himself. You do get the strong impression that the person he feels most sorry for in this whole situation is himself.
Yeah. Okay. If he's in and I feel that he's secure, if there's any type of blanket or anything I can throw over him, her focus has to be back on her team members right now. So if I can get him in, lock him in, she's out.
Yep, absolutely. You can do that. You can throw a blanket on him. He kind of just lands on him and he sort of ignores it. But yeah, and then you can head back in to join the others.
Yes, sir.
So what are the others doing? Well, we know what the others are doing. Captain Gustav Gustafsson, we left in mid-kick to boot this door open. Let's have a force roll from you. See if you can get this door open with one good hefty bit of effort.
2 sixes.
Well
you
done.
Kick this door off its hinges, basically. With a second success in force, there's some groovy stuff that you can add to this, but I think in this given situation, you just
he's not
boot
thinking
this
of
door
anything else
right
other
off.
than
Yeah,
lives
the door just lands flat on the floor of the room as it comes right off its hinges. Maybe they were a bit rotten, but the strength with which you kicked it was quite phenomenal. And you can see inside into a dark room. There it is dusty. It is clearly a woman's room. but it is got a layer of dust over everything. There is a small bedside table. There's a little bookshelf in there as well that's full of books, and there are also a number of canvases sort of stacked up against the wall beside the wardrobe, so you can look around if you want to see what you can find in there.
GM, can I ask, as this angered state, this sticks with them, they're still in this angered state.
Yes.
So I think in kicking the door down, if it's okay with you, Mike, with the two successes, the only thing that he kind of does, he's gone up there with his saber in hand, but as he kicks the door in, he also draws his pistol and kind of goes in the room, gun first. So what Gustav is doing, he's probably not looking at the canvases or the books or this. He's going in and he is scanning the room like a soldier would, and he's checking areas, he's checking the perimeter essentially, as you know, he thinks Liv is behind him, and even though
well, okay. So so can we have a moment where Liv comes up behind you, because Liv is very frightened at the same time, and can we just have a very brief moment where Liv is going to place her hand on your shoulder and go, "It's okay, it's okay. There's no one here."
But right, no one here. No one here.
Just as you say, there's no one here, a voice in your head says,
fuck.
"I'm here." And I would like you to please make me a roll. And this is going to be an opposed roll. I would like you to please roll me observation. And I am going to roll something else.
Oh dear, this is not.
As you feel this presence inside your head.
No, nothing from me.
One success.
Okay. No, it's just for Captain Gustafsson.
Oh, okay.
Only him. And
so I hear Liv say, "It's okay, there's no one here," and then inside here, yes, there is.
Yeah, basically, that's what you get.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm going to roll some dice as well.
That was a hell of an alley-oop, Graham.
That was a lot of dice.
Why are you rolling that many dice, Spike? What's happening?
Yes, I did roll the correct number of dice there. Just wanted to make sure I didn't roll too many dice. And something takes a hold of you, Captain Gustafsson. Now, normally I would do this in private, but I think just for now we will do it in public. And I need to open a document to read you something.
You win the game.
You win the game.
You win the game.
So, where is it now? Yes, here it is. You have become enthralled. A vengeful creature has taken control of your body, just for a few moments, though. You think the other players, the other characters, your companions here tonight, are responsible for a terrible crime committed against you, and you want to kill them. You might tell the other characters that you hate them and that none of them will leave here alive, but the thing you will certainly do, no matter what else you say or do, is you will draw your weapon and attack one of them.
Okay. When I hear this, sorry, Liv. When I hear this, this voice, "You're not alone," and feel this, I don't know, is enthrallment a word? I feel this. I feel this takeover, essentially enthrallation. I think I probably turn around, whip around to Liv, who just put her hand on my shoulder and just said, "It's okay. There's no, it's okay. There's no one here." I turn round. "Yeah, you would bloody say that, wouldn't you? With all the books you've been reading, I bet you've read about what happened to me, haven't you? You think it was my fault? You think I left them there, didn't you? You're going to tell everybody, aren't you? Well, We'll see about that. Live Holmgren. And I'm going to raise my gun.
Okay, so you've got your saber in your hand, but you're going to take your gun out as well?
No, actually, I think I'm going to probably lunge with my saber.
Okay, so we're going to have one round of combat here, or maybe more, depending on what you do after this. But this enthrallment only holds you for one round in this in this aggressive action. So, in order to resist this close combat is what Gustav would roll in order to attack, and in order to avoid close combat, you need to roll. I think either force or close combat. I'll let you. That's really to just parry the blow. I'll let you roll agility though as well, if you would like to roll agility in order to sort of dodge out of the way of it. Agility is normally used for avoiding ranged weapons. Then you can dodge a bullet in Vaesen.
Can I ask, Mike?
Yes.
So when I trained earlier, I trained in this to get the +2.
Yes, you can use that whenever you want to.
But I don't have to use it now.
You don't have to use it now.
Right. Okay. Cool.
But feel free.
But I was going to say, but do you want to?
Honestly.
So basically, you're rolling to see who gets the most successes, and then we'll see what happens.
I don't think he does use that moment of training in that +2 because I think this is more instinctual rather than using that learned training that he did. But it is still rolling 6 dice.
Mike, remind me what I'm rolling again.
You can roll. Well, you can. I'll give you the choice. You can either roll close combat or force to parry, or you can roll agility to just try and scramble out the way, dodge out the way of it.
Makes no difference.
Oh boy,
they're all 0. And no, okay, I'll just do that. We'll see what happens.
And you can push this as well if you want, but pushing does, as I say, give you conditions.
I got 2 successes.
I have nothing.
Yo,
do you want to push the roll, Liv? You will take 2 conditions if you don't, but it's a kind of a swings and roundabout situation because you'll certainly take 1 condition if you do.
Nah, let's not.
Okay.
Here we go.
Captain Gustafsson, would you like to describe how your sword slices through the air? What I will say is that, Liv, as you see this, it's almost like Captain Gustafsson is like he's like a puppet or a marionette. His movements are slightly jerky, like he's not completely in control of them, like he's on strings or something like that, as this saber slices out towards you with deadly efficacy.
And can I just really check? Can Liv might well realize he was possessed. Liv wants to talk to these things, can she?
Oh,
you can, but first of all, I'd like you to take 2 physical conditions and tell me what they are.
Sure. Wounded.
In fact, actually, bear with me for a second. I just want to double check something because you've got 2 successes on a close combat, and that is. There are certain things. One of the things you can do with that is inflict a condition, and I think in your possessed state, that's probably what would happen.
I'm going to say, knowing what conditions you've taken would dictate to me how I attack you.
Yeah, so some other things that you can do is, as well as increasing the damage, you can outmaneuver in combat. You can exchange initiative cards. That's not really relevant for this particular combat. You can cause a mental condition by stressing your enemy if you want, as opposed to 2 physical conditions. You can push them into another zone, so you can push them down the stairs, push them out the window, just push them farther away from you, or you can make them drop something that they're carrying, perhaps a weapon. But I think in this particular circumstance, I think 2 physical conditions is probably the most accurate, because that is the force that's possessing you. That's what it wants to do, and that's what you in this moment want to do. You want to kill Liv. So, Liv, which 2 conditions would you like to take?
Wounded and broken.
You can't take broken. Broken is the condition that you take after you've taken all the other conditions. And
Got
when you are broken,
it. Okay.
Something interesting occurs.
Well, that's a shame. But wounded and battered.
All right.
Wounded
So,
and battered.
so you will take a -2 on all your physical rolls.
But wounded and battered, when I come in, then almost in a soldierly manner, what I'd like to do, I'm looking to wound and kill. So just in case the killing blow doesn't strike, hence the wounded and battered.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going in. I'm using the butt of the sword, the pommel essentially, to slam it into the side of Liv's knee to restrict her movement, and then I bring the sword up, and then I'm gonna essentially kind of slash, almost trying to gut Liv, but not as severe, just wound and bleed out.
And almost as soon as it comes, the feeling passes through you. Somebody has been controlling you. This force, this presence, this energy this malevolent energy has been controlling you. But just for a moment, and now it's gone. And Liv is, well, where is Liv? Is she lying on the floor? She's bleeding.
Yeah, I would think sort of in a corner of the room, bleeding and stabbed. Yeah,
and I think this is probably the moment at which Hannah comes running up the stairs, and you hear shouting from up the stairs. And when you arrive at the top of the stairs, you can see that there's a door open, and as you look in through it, you see Captain Gustafsson with his weapon in hand, and Liv lying bleeding on the ground.
So I'm running down the hallway. I'm like dripping water. Her boots are sloshy. And the second she turns the corner, the very first thing I say is like, does anyone have eyes on Sophie? What happened? What happened? And she's immediately going to start grabbing for Liv to try to get her out of this room, and behind her and the captain.
Oh, Liv totally doesn't want to leave this room. So she's, loads of interesting stuff in this room. So she's resisting, and she's going, no, that wasn't him.
I'm sorry, Liv. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't you, was it?
There was a voice. Keep Mike, the voice in my head. Woman, yes. Man. Do I get any sense of identity?
Good question.
It was a man. You think it was a male voice?
I was a man's voice. Liv, it was spoken in my head. I didn't do this. I didn't. Hannah, I didn't do this. It wasn't me.
Is it still there? Are you still there? Can you talk to me?
Are you still there?
Nothing.
Come out, you bloody coward!
Nothing.
Am I still in an angered state? Do we still have those mental states?
Yes, you do. Yep.
I'm going.
That will remain with you until you heal it in some way.
I'm walking up to the canvases, the paintings there. I know that there's been talk about creativity, and this has been a locked space. I'm going to go up and I'm going to start slashing some of the canvases with my sword.
Okay.
Coward!
As you do, you pull these canvases apart, slashing them, and you can all see that they are depictions of a wide variety of things. There's a painting of what looks like Sophia when she was a little bit younger. There's paintings of the inn from the outside. There's paintings of the trees and the woods. There's the church. There's a painting of a soldier on the field of battle with all these dark, shadowy silhouettes of figures all ranged around, and a look of fear and terror in his eye. He's an officer backing away. There's a picture of a woman in a forest with some sort of strange creature with green skin and long hair who's dressed in a garb of leaves and light green cotton, and the two of them are holding hands, and this green skinned figure is gently caressing the cheek of the other woman. And there is another woman with books all around her. She's in a room filled with books. There's tables with books just almost falling off them, lying open, and there's bookshelves full of books. There's books lying over the floor, and this woman she's lying on her back, slightly propped up by a pile of books on her back, and her face is in a state of of bliss, and there is a bottle of some milky fluid that looks like it's been knocked over and is lying on the floor beside her as she kind of lies prostrate, almost with her arms in that kind of crucifix sort of position, staring up into the sky, her eyes almost rolling back into her head, clearly being taken on some fantastical hallucinogenic trip by whatever it is that she's been drinking that is now spilling out of the bottle onto the floor. And there's all these and all sorts of other things as well as you tear through all these pictures.
I think ripping through them and especially seeing the officer on the field with the dead on the field and the black shadows, I think that would be a moment that Gustav stops and kind of drops his saber, drops to his knees. Adrenaline's probably kind of wiping out of him, even though he's still angry. He's fists together, and he's just weeping. He's just kind of kneeling there weeping, and he's kind of looking over at Liv, seeing what he's done to her, and looking at this picture. And I think he's looking at the other pictures, and he's making some educated guesses.
Yeah.
As to, and you see you see the picture of the two women. You see as well that just in the leaves of the kind of shrubs and that there's a little dog as well. Puppy. Little puppy here.
I don't live.
You can all, okay, that's, Sorry, I was going to ask you to make a roll, but not just yet.
What were you about to say, Graham?
Liv is obviously ignoring Gustav, whatever he's saying at the moment. And Spike, I'm trying to work this out. Liv is drawn to the books, unless you want to sort of go somewhere else. And
no, that's fine. Yeah,
please
feel free to be drawn to the books. As you look through the books, you see there's a number of books on theatre, arts, but there's also a number of books on the occult.
There we go.
As well. Clearly, this is a small library held by somebody who had an interest in theatre, in music, and in the occult. There is another small, slim, leather-bound book which you find, and as you leaf through it, you realise that it is some sort of journal or diary. And there are some interesting entries in it. You spend a few minutes looking through it, and if you would care to open handout number 2, you can read what you find therein. These are not the only entries, but these are the most pertinent entries that you think have some bearing or relevance to your current situation.
Newman, you clear to read?
I am indeed.
I'm behind you.
Okay.
January 15th. I saw it again last night. The candle in my hand went out and I could hear someone walking toward me. I whispered my husband's name, and an unknown voice responded with a word I could not understand. The hairs on my arms stood up, and the blood throbbed in my veins. I dare not say anything to Sammy. January 17th. All I did was suggest that the sudden falling apart of the inn might have occult causes. I shouldn't have mentioned the ghost. The bruises around my neck can be concealed with the collar, but my left eye is purple like a plum, and my nose is swollen. February 4th. Sophia, has been having the same nightmares as me. A man being murdered, his throat cut. Suddenly it's me in the grave, buried alive in unconsecrated ground. I wake with a scream. February 19th. The 4th time I saw him, I understood what he was whispering. A name. Piri. Sammy's grandfather's name. It was his old love letter to someone in Uppsala that I found in the attic. Sammy is furious that I've neglected my duties, but Piri's letters have told me who the dead man is. He and 3 other people from Uppsala murdered a man named Oscar Hjort and buried his body in the garden. One of the men was called Albert. Piri says they desecrated his body with magic. He fears that he has damned the inn and condemned himself to hell. March 1st. Sophia wants to put on the theatre shows here at the Witch Cat. I think it's a brilliant idea. I've sent an invitation to the Troll Dreams theatre troupe. This time, I won't let Sammy get in the way. March 29th, the final entry. Sammy saw the letter from the theatre director. He flew into a rage and hit me with the fireplace poker. I'm so scared. If I stay here, he'll kill me. I've packed a bag and I'm leaving tonight. I wish I could bring Sophia, but I'll come for her soon.
Okay. So while that sinks in, you can all make me, if you would, a learning test to draw some conclusions from what you've read.
Oof.
Mike, can you remind me about the learning test?
Absolutely, yeah. It's if I just bring it up, your character sheets.
I got you, babe. It's learning
it's-
and logic. It's just one of the
logic,
regular skills.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
sorry,
Yeah,
I
it's just
see.
a skill
Apologies.
test. Sorry, yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so some of you have more, and all three of you can make this because 4 successes.
Yeah.
Well, how splendid!
That
Did you-
tracks for you.
Have
you
we
use
solved
a-
the mystery? Are we done?
Well,
Did we win?
yeah, you can go home now. Thanks, everybody.
Great.
Good night.
now? Thanks. You've been
Liv
watching
just
Symphony.
points at 3 things in the room and nods. That's it.
I think this is where, as you leaf through some of the occult books, Liv, the things you had already, the conclusions you'd already drawn are verified. You didn't need them to tell you this, but the information's there nonetheless. And you realize that this thing that's affecting the building, this thing that's caused the cold, it's still freezing cold here, the thing that's caused these people to fall asleep, the thing that's caused the possession of Gustav, the storm outside even, it's a revenant. It's clearly the work of a revenant, a haunted spirit filled with hate against those that have wronged it in life. It's almost always invisible unless it wants to be seen. And in those circumstances, it can become a monstrous, terrifying figure with sharp teeth, long claws. Revenants have certain abilities. They're not very pleasant abilities. You've seen one of them, the ability to possess a human being and cause it to act in a manner that it desires, not that the person desires. They can also, with their touch, they can suck the life out of you with what you might call a ghostly embrace. And the only sure and certain way to deal with a revenant is to bury the remains of the person it once was in holy ground that has been consecrated.
Was a body buried in the garden. So Liv talks through, I don't know if she does talk through much of this actually. She goes, it's a revenant. And I think she puts an arm out to Hannah and says, will you help me downstairs?
Hannah's eyes glued onto her past that's been shredded, but is still on this canvas. And it's kind of like in the echoes, or almost like on a different level of subconsciousness. She can hear Liv asking for her or reaching out for her. She can feel it. She knows it's happening. She just instinctively reaches her hand out to take hers, and she immediately whips it back, and she looks down and she looks at the captain that's on his knees crying, and she looks at Liv, and she shuts down emotionally. What do we need to do?
And I think Liv, actually, Liv is barely waiting for all the looking around things, So she's Liv is going down the stairs as best she can. She's bleeding, right? She's got. Did she have a stab wound?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's holding her, like in my head, it's her stomach, and leaning very heavily on the rails and tottering down.
Before you go down the stairs.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I will draw your attention to something that you perhaps did not notice in your haste and fury and desperation. And that is that there are noises coming from above you.
That's where that darter went.
And when you step out into the hallway, you realize that the trap door to the attic is open. And you can see that there's a ladder you can pull down.
I have to admit, my sense is Liv would head for the garden.
Okay.
But we could do some party splitting if you like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hannah's good with going up or going with Liv. I can go either way. Do you have a preference, Newman?
The captain will come out, and he is mortified at what he's done with Liv, and he'll say, "No, you stay with Liv. I need to do this. I need to. I can save her. I can save someone. I can save someone. You have to let me save someone."
Captain, whatever is in that painting wasn't your fault. Liv wasn't your fault. Get your shit together now. And then I'm going to turn on my heels and go and start helping Liv down the steps.
All right. Okay. So let us start with the captain. You stride forward, grab hold of the ladder and pull it down and climb up into the attic, where you see that it has been cleared and arranged in a very particular fashion. At one side of it, there is a very kind of rudimentary set of curtains that, with a screen behind them, and some sort of complicated mechanical apparatus. In front of it, there are a number of chairs. Standing beside the curtain, which looks to all the world like some sort of stage, is Sophia, and she is tinkering with things and tweaking things, and you can see that there is a handle there, like a kind of a winch kind of a handle to the side of the stage, and she kind of looks at you, and she clearly hasn't been aware of anything that's gone on down the stairs. She's been so focused on making the preparations for this, and she beckons towards the small chairs that have been sort of placed at irregular sort of in positions in audience fashion, but all the chairs are different. There's a little child's chair. There's a broken chair with a kitchen chair with a broken leg. It's obviously stuff that she's has been shoved up into this attic that she's put out for people to sit on, and she just kind of looks at you and says, "Have you come to see the play?"
No, Sophia. I've come to save you. I've come to get you out of here. You have to come with me.
Don't you want to see the play? I've worked so hard on it. Where are your friends? Don't they want to see the play? Please.
No, Sophia. You don't understand.
It would mean so much to me.
People have been hurt, Sophia.
Yeah.
Who's been? Is my father hurt?
No, I think
Sven
your father's.
hurt.
Sven is downstairs. He seems to be passed out or something. Liv, one of my associates, was hurt.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Would she like to see the play?
Oh.
No, Sophia. I'm going to take a step towards her, and I'm going to put like a hand, perhaps just on the shoulder, just as. I'm thinking, is she possessed? Is she
doesn't look it. She doesn't look quite the same as she did downstairs. There's a kind of a passion in her eye, a kind of a fire in her eye, and she just kind of stands there as you put your hand on her and says, "It's important that you see the play. You'll understand if you see the play. I've worked so hard on it."
Sophia, if I see what this is, you need to come with me.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. What about your friends? Would they like to see the play with you?
Yeah, I think they might be busy, Sophia, but perhaps we start without them and see if they can join us.
All right. And she kind of takes you sort of dusts off one of the seats, sits you down, and then she stands beside the screens, and she starts cranking this wheel, and the curtains part, and you can see that there is some really complex clockwork machinery going on here, and there are figures that kind of pop out and move as she winds, and it's clearly incredibly detailed and the work of a master craftsman. And you wonder as you're watching this, as she kind of cranks the wheel, and you can see gentlemen bowing and ladies curtsying in what appears to be some sort of a ball in a palace or something. You wonder how this young girl has created something so technically skilled, so perfect and beautiful. And she starts telling a story as she winds this. A young playwright travels through Europe, and you can see that there are figures on this mechanism that are moving around that give a picture of the story that she's telling. His plays are performed before queens at Versailles and the Palais Royal. His name is praised, and life dances along like a dream. But soon revolution sweeps the country, and the young man flees the song of the guillotine. And you can see the scene changes. This guillotine pops up and slides down, beheading a figure. Penniless, he returns to the north to find his home in ashes and his family gone. He begs for coin, and no one knows that his name was once sung in palaces of Europe. In his anguish, the invisibles reveal themselves to him, and here several strange creatures of different shapes and sizes appear, with this figure of this young man cowering back in fear and wonder at these invisibles, these supernatural creatures. She carries on. Creatures creeping, flying and crawling, but when he speaks of them to anyone, he is mocked and beaten. A man named Albert takes him from the street and brings him to his mansion. He is bathed and clothed, and they eat fruit and drink wine. Our young hero performs his plays and sings for Albert and his friends. In his dreams, they are all dancing together. She keeps winding, and then the light changes, and it goes kind of darker and more foreboding and menacing. But the dreams lie. It was you. You brought me here to Piri's Inn. We spoke of the future and the world. You smiled as you made me a villainous proposition, and when I declined, you butchered me like a pig. You buried my body in unholy ground without priest or consecration. You cut me up. I scream, not wanting to die. At last, you are back. And here she stands almost completely passive, relaxed, her body limp, except for her arm, which moves, cranking this wheel round once again like an automaton. At last, you are back. Welcome. And as you hear this voice come out of her mouth, you hear it echo all around you, and from behind the stage, the darkness behind these figures comes rushing this spectre, this horror, this vision, this gaping maw with bleeding gums and sharp incisive-like teeth, this face that is decayed and pallid, long cruel fingers with sharp fingernails that lunges towards you. This vision sails through the air and passes right through you as you sit in your seat. This wave of psychic energy almost blows you off your seat. And I'd like you please to make a fear test. And this fear test will require 2 successes. Any mental conditions you currently have, take 1 die away from this fear test. And I'm afraid you're on your own.
Right. So, okay. So, I think the narrative dictates it would be empathy.
Okay.
Which is 2 dice, but I have angry as a mental condition, so it's going to be 1 dice.
Yeah.
And you need 2 successes.
Oh. Well.
No successes.
Yeah.
Okay. In fear tests, it's not really much point in pushing them unless you stand to gain more than you lose, because you do take a condition from pushing a roll. So I'm afraid in this situation you're going to take 2 mental conditions.
Holy cow.
So I am angry, frightened, and hopeless now.
Okay. This thing passes through you and it rushes through the trapdoor as Sophia's body falls limp to the floor, unconscious. The spectre, the horror that you have just beheld, rushes out of the trapdoor and down.
Oh, God.
Down into the building.
To leave Gustav then. I think the final thing before the camera kind of pans away is in this switch, this immediate jumping between angry, frightened, hopeless. He kind of gets up screaming, almost kind of running out of his chair, running into the middle of the puppets and the machinery and everything, and then as he kind of gets there, he kind of has this mad moment of anger and starts kicking and bending and smashing things around, and then after again a minute or two of that, just the adrenaline washing out of him once again, but with this exacerbated sense of mental the mental conditions that he's suffering from. He probably drops down, and even though he is hopeless, it probably is accepting his fate that he is going to die, and so is Sophia. But in that, he kind of slumps down next to Sophia, but kind of tries to cover her, almost to protect her, but slumps down in the fact that he thinks they're both about to die, but he will at least try and go first, protecting her.
Wow.
So she seems to be physically unharmed. She's peacefully sleeping in your arms. It's cold up here, but it's quiet now. Whatever it was is no longer in the attic with you. So let's move down the stairs. As Liv and Bridgett head out of the building, it's still cold, it's still blue cast of light from the fire. Everyone's still sleeping down here. You head out into the storm. Where are you headed?
Can I ask a quick clarifying question?
Of course you can.
And I think it's more actually towards Graham. You said you didn't share everything with us. Can I get what you did share with us from the letters that you read, or that she read?
She will have shared. I mean, I can have said anything that's useful, but she will have said, it's a revenant, and she'll be mumbling something about Spike. I think from the books I got the something about buried, and it had to be buried in consecrated ground.
Why I was asking, do we need to wake up the priest on the way up, on the way out the door? Which is why I was asking.
Okay. Try as you might, the priest does not wake.
Ain't that some shit? Okay.
This is clearly not natural sleep.
Liv is going straight out, and a body buried in the garden, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to find that body.
Okay.
I'll run into the greenhouse. Can I pull a shovel? Do they have shovels there?
You can find a shovel if you think the storeroom in the stables is probably where the shovels are.
Perfect.
Okay. So, Liv, are you going with Hannah into the stables to get the shovel?
I don't think Liv's particularly thinking like that at the moment. So firstly, just can we just have a moment of Liv, who will not have her outer coat on, who is still holding her stomach bleeding and stumbling and the rain sort of crashing against her face. So you can imagine the rain washing down her and the blood coming out as well. So just rain and blood mixed together.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you try and find a body in a garden, Mike? Can we like sense it? I don't know.
Let's have a learning test, shall we?
Ooh.
Let's have a learning test. And I can maybe steer you in the right direction. Just for a little bit of inspiration.
Just for a little bit, a little razzle dazzle.
Razzle, go on the old razzle dazzle.
I do actually have 4 successes again.
Holy
Wow.
Wow!
Fantastic.
You trip
I promise you I'm
over
not faking these
Amazing.
rolls.
That is amazing.
Oh, we know you're not, babe.
Well, that makes
Some mud and you
my
hear an
life
owl.
so much easier. You look around, and it occurs to you that this garden is overgrown. There's vegetable patches that, as were, there's this conservatory is. You reckon it's probably got tiles under on the ground, and it's got beds for flowers and vegetables and stuff like that. Probably not. The place that you think would be, if you wanted to bury a body in a garden, where would you bury it? And you cast your eye and you see this wooden door against a mound with a kind of a wooden beam against it, holding it closed against the weather. And you just think, that's where I'd bury it, in the earth floor of the root cellar.
There we go.
Because I can just dig it up, pack it down again, nobody will be any the wiser. Meanwhile...
Yeah, go.
Yeah, no, carry on. Tell me what you're doing.
Oh, Liv is stumbling in that direction, but yeah, let's do a meanwhile.
Okay. Meanwhile, Hannah, you head into the stables, to the storeroom in the stables, and indeed you can find, well, there's 2 horses in there who are, they're not dealing with the storm particularly well, but they are indoors, so that's calming them down slightly. But they are whinnying and they are kind of pawing at the ground. And yeah, you can find some tools in there. You also find one other thing. Hanging from the rafters of the stable is the body of Sammy Harula, with a stool underneath him that has clearly been kicked to one side. His shirt is torn and open, and in blood across his chest he has the following words: Piri the traitor, carved. It looks like it's been gouged into his chest with a nail maybe, or a claw or something like that. His eyes are bulging, his neck is swollen, his blue tongue is hanging swollen out of his mouth. The man is clearly very dead, and I'd like a fear test, please, to see this horrible sight.
You are
any
totally
mental
welcome
conditions
to
you
it.
might have, you will remove 1 from your, and unfortunately you are also on your own because Liv has headed across to the root cellar.
Speaking of being on her own, I left him by himself.
Yep.
2 successes.
That's plenty good enough. You managed to swallow down the gorge that rises at this scene, this dead man who you left here, indeed.
There's nothing I can do for him right now. There's absolutely nothing that I can do for him right now.
This man yips and barks and runs around your heels.
I came here for tools. I'm going to find the tools. She's going to go looking for the tools because she, at this point, is under the impression they need to dig up a garden.
Yep, you can get a shovel. Easy. There's a pick there if you want a pick.
Yep, that's picks, shovels, all of this
fork.
sounds good.
Yeah, you can absolutely find the tools that you need for this job. And you can head over towards to look for where Liv is. She seems to be over at the door of the root cellar, pushing the bar that's holding the door closed off in order that it can open out to go in.
She follows behind Liv.
Okay. As you enter the root cellar, these things aren't particularly large, but you take a couple of steps into it and a cold wind rushes past you from behind into the root cellar. And It sends shivers down your spine. It is chilling, not just because of its temperature. There's clearly something more than just the wind here. But you can take a couple of steps in, and as you look around, the place seems strangely vast and cavernous. The dimensions are massively larger than you would expect to find, impossibly large.
Interesting.
It disappears off into pitch darkness. You can see shelves and boxes of root vegetables and stuff as you walk on this packed earth floor here.
Liv walks into the darkness, and Blake thinks there's something here, and she says, "We're coming for you. We're coming for your body."
You hear this kind of sigh somewhere in the darkness. You came. Let's go back to Captain Gustafsson. You're up in the attic still, cradling Sophia. What will you do now?
I think what he desperately wants to do is get Sophia out of the attic, and get her out of the house. I think for Gustav, he thinks that whatever's going on is going on in here, or everything that's happened that has gone wrong with Liv, with the paintings, everything's happened in here, and he's just witnessed this bizarre play, and understood, a true meaning to what's going on here. With Oscar and Piri and everybody. So I think he, even with Mike, with his mental states, the angry, frightened, hopeless, is he still able to operate, or is he?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he just has the mind. The only time you might not be able to operate is when you hit the broken state and you take a critical injury.
Okay. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to lean into anger. He's going to lean into being put in this place again, where he is potentially responsible for other people's death, and the anger at what he's felt at himself since he was last in this situation. So he's gonna kind of feed into that anger, and he is not going to leave anybody behind, and he is essentially scooping her up. Over his shoulder, fireman's lift style, and he's going down the stairs. It'll probably take him some time to get to the others, but he is bringing Sophia down the stairs and out into the rain and the storm.
Okay, so you get down the stairs, and I'm just going to kind of flick back and forth between the two scenes as these two things happen at the same time. And you are just reaching. It takes you a bit of time, as you say, to get down from the attic and to get down the stairs with Sophia. Maybe you kind of grab a blanket and bundle her in it to give her a little bit of protection from the weather if you're taking her outside.
I'll wrap her in my military coat.
Beautiful.
So you are down in the main room, and you're just about to put your hand on the door when something happens. Meanwhile, in the root cellar, the two of you are standing in the darkness. There's a little bit of moonlight coming through, but you can quite easily have grabbed a lantern or something from inside the inn so you can see what you're doing, because it is, it's pretty dark out there. The moon peeks through the clouds from time to time, but it's a storm is raging all around you. And in the lamplight, you can see that this cave stretches out unimaginably far. And stepping out of the shadows is a young man. He's maybe in his early 20s. He's dressed finely, but the dress that he is wearing, the clothes that he is wearing are very old-fashioned, maybe 100 years old, or as much as that possibly, 50 maybe. He has a beautiful demeanor. He is an extremely good-looking young man. He has got piercing blue eyes, magnetic, and he steps forward. He smiles. He kind of bows his head slightly towards you, And he reaches out his hand. And as he does so, he turns slightly and looks to one side as if he's heard something. And then this look of fear and horror and surprise comes over his face. And he takes a step back and opens his mouth in a silent scream as a gash appears on his neck. Blood spills out. His head lolls back as this massive wound comes out of nowhere almost. And he slumps down to his knees. His hands reach up imploringly as if he's begging somebody to save him, to spare him. And then the decay sets in. He ages, his flesh shrivels and rots and falls off his face. Maggots start swarming out of his throat and out of his eyes, which go milky white, and his mouth spills out dirt and filth as he collapses to the ground. His clothes grow older and they tear and they rot even as you watch. It's like watching 100 years of decay in an instant. And I would like a fear test from both of you, please.
Yep, you're entitled to that.
This is a fear 2. You each get an additional die because you're together, but any mental conditions you currently have will reduce the number of dice you have in the pool. 2 successes is exactly what you need. Fantastic, well done. No successes?
Nope.
So you can, if you like, push this and see if you can get maybe 1 success. But otherwise, you're going to take two. However, having said that, even if you do get 1 success, you're still going to take 2 conditions. So you'd need to get. If you pushed it and you got 2 successes, that would stave off one of your conditions.
Yep.
I'm not going to push that. It's so tempting, but I'm not.
Because you would take 3 conditions if you don't get any successes at all. Okay, so you take 2 mental conditions from that, please, Graham. And you can choose from the.
I can choose from the only 2 which are left. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So what have you got now?
Angry and hopeless, as well as frightened from before.
Okay, so you're not quite broken yet, but So
close.
how do the 2 of you react when you see this this horror appear, and this man murdered in front of your eyes and decay and die and decay in front of you?
I think Liv is she's a young woman, right? She is standing there shaking. I think she sort of echoes the silent scream. No sound comes out, but she screams as he does.
Okay, brilliant. And Gustav, even as this is happening in the root cellar, as you reach for the handle of the door to leave the inn, the sleeping figures come jerkily into movement. Their eyes open, but you sense no sight of their own there. And they stand up and they start coming towards you, almost as if they are puppets, marionettes on strings, their actions being controlled by someone or something else. This all seems terrifyingly familiar to you, for it was your body that was possessed like this not so very long ago. Their heads turn towards you, and they start moving towards you with intent and purpose.
Okay, so I having experienced this myself, I know that this isn't them, that this is something controlling them, possessing them. So I am going to sheathe my sword. Actually, it would have been sheathed anyway because I've been carrying
Sophia.
Sophia.
You're carrying Sophia. Yeah.
So I'm going to put Sophia down basically in the doorway, and I'm going to reach for the nearest table and kind of slide it in front of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to try and use it as a barricade. I'm going to grab a chair. So if anybody tries to get over the table, I'm going to kind of just bash at them and force them off with the chair. But I'm trying to just put stuff between us, hoping that this will be a temporary effect. And as I'm doing this, I'm probably screaming out for Hannah and Liv, or screaming to these people, just going, "It's all right."
you're staying in the building. Yeah, you're just kind of getting behind.
Can I get out? Can I?
Yeah, you're right at the door.
Oh,
You're
right.
just about to
bloody
open
hell,
the door.
then. Yeah, screw that. Then if I can get Sophia and I can get that door, I'm gonna. In fact, I'll grab one chair. With my free hand, get out the door, close the door, and then jam the chair under the door to try and stop it, to stop them being able to get out. And then I'm going to scoop Sophia back up, and I'm just probably running into the rain, just shouting out, "Liv! Hannah! Where are you?"
Brilliant.
And you can hear voices coming from them. They seem to be speaking names. Katja, Albert, Hilma, Piri. Muttering, overlapping these names coming out of their mouths, some of which you may recognize, some of which you may not. You can run out. You're carrying Sophia. The storm is raging around you. It is raining. Lightning is cracking. As you look around, you can see that the doors of the root cellar in the garden are lying wide open.
Then I will. I'll aim for that. Yeah, I kind of have faith that Liv and Hannah know what they're doing. And they've kind of, I'm assuming whether they have or not, they've left this path for me to follow.
Yeah, and you can hear battering at the doors. The people that have woken up, semi-woken up, just try to get out of the building. But your chair is temporarily holding them at bay, but it won't last forever. You can run across through the tussocks of grass and the weeds, and you can see that. Liv and Bridgett Liv and Hannah are standing in the just like maybe a few steps into this vast underground chamber. Impossible. How can it possibly be so big? Maybe your mind just discounts that. So much has happened today. Maybe this is the least bizarre thing that you've seen tonight. And in front of them, there is what can only be described as a semi-transparent vestige of a human being. You see it and you immediately recognize it as the creature that passed through you when you were up in the attic. It doesn't look quite so demonic, but it is standing, and this thing is standing just kind of materialized out of the darkness where the body fell and rotted and decayed and has now disappeared. But there is this. He is wearing rags. He's what might have once been fine clothes, but clearly they are worn and threadbare, and his face is cadaverous, and he just stares at you. Albert, Piri, Hilma, Katja, I will have my revenge on you.
Oscar, it's not. We aren't Albert or Piri or any of them. That's not us. Oscar. I'm kind of like looking at Hannah and Liv, like almost nudging them, kind of like, it's not us, Oscar.
He looks confused for a moment. His eyes kind of flick.
No, you lie. You try to trick me. I will have my vengeance.
No, not on us. Liv.
We're here to make it right, Oscar.
Okay, someone can make me, or you can all, if you like, if you're engaging in conversation with this thing, you can make me a manipulation test to try and convince it that you are not who it seems to think you are.
Okay.
If we roll and we fail, do we affect the other person who rolls and possibly succeeds?
No.
Excellent. Oh, one success.
Okay, how's everybody
wait,
else?
do I minus dice because of mental conditions?
Yes, for a manipulation test, yes you do.
Then I have no dice to roll.
You always get to roll one die.
Oh, at least you always get to roll one. Okay.
Always get to roll one die, yeah.
No, nothing.
Okay. Would you like to push it? 3 successes. Well, so
I rolled 9
Bridgett.
dice for the record, guys.
Fantastic. Even, yeah. Yes, because of course you passed your fear test as well. So this is your thing. And this is where Hannah comes into her own. Bridgett, would you like to describe to me how Hannah persuades this monstrous, this fiendish apparition that you are not who it thinks you are. You do not bear it any ill, and you are going to put it to rest, the rest it so desperately craves.
Hannah was present up until about 20 minutes ago, and then Hannah was forcibly made to clock out of this situation. So her shining empathy that she has been lending, borrowing, extending to both the captain and Liv throughout the duration of their friendship, their colleagueship, and tonight is gone. There's nothing beautiful about this particular persuasion. It's almost mathematical. We are not who you think we are, but we are your last effort to find peace and rest. Where are you buried?
Kind of looks at you.
Not. When? How?
You don't have time. We don't have time. You need to see yourself through this. We are here to help.
It steps towards you.
She'll step towards
it. It comes almost nose to nose with you, although it's quite a lot taller than you. Kind of looks down at you.
You are kind. You love. I see it. The truth.
And it just points to a spot on the floor where the figure that you saw fall and decay lay. And it just looks at you. And then puts its hands by its side, steps back and disappears into the darkness.
Tears begin running down her face. She is going to throw absently one of these tools at the captain's chest, and she's going to start digging with the other.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll
So-
put Sophia down and join in.
Okay, so Sophia is on the ground sleeping. What about Liv? She's obviously still quite badly wounded.
I think she's in no state to dig. I think at this point she'll be like slumping to the floor.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, maybe she sits on the floor beside Sophia and watches as for a few minutes, and strangely in that few minutes, these the thumping, although you can't hear it on the door, ceases, and you are not pursued by the marionettes that were in the inn. Perhaps what you said, how you said it, persuaded this creature, this revenant, in a very deep and profound way that you were its salvation. And after a few minutes of digging, you start to uncover bones, old bones that have clearly lain there for some considerable time, and a skull. And eventually you manage to retrieve a male skeleton that has lain under the earth in this root cellar for over 50 years. And what are you going to do with it?
Liv, what are we supposed to do with it?
Take it to the churchyard and you bury it again.
So if it's all right with you, I will move this towards an epilogue. You take the bones, perhaps you use the horse and cart that are in the stable, take it a mile down the road through the storm, which has abated somewhat over the last maybe half hour while you've been digging and working, maybe as much as an hour. And you take it to the church and the churchyard. You find a spot in the churchyard which is part of the burial area, which has clearly been consecrated for the burial of the dead. Maybe a little quiet, secluded part, possibly beside a bush or a shrub or an ash tree, perhaps, or something. And you dig down with the spades and the picks that you've got. Dig down a little ways, and you cover over the body. Maybe say a few words over the last resting place of Oscar Hjort. And as you glance over your shoulder, as you're putting the final touches to the covering over this grave, you see what appears to be a young man standing just in the distance, just by the churchyard wall, watching you. And he smiles and disappears. And I think that is as good a place as any to bring this mystery to a conclusion. And as you lay the soul of Oscar Hjort to his final rest.
Hey.
And that's
thank you
Friends
so-
of the Symphony. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and thank you so much for playing. Thank you so much for telling this tale.
And that, Friends of the Symphony, is where our show ends for tonight. Thank you again to everyone who joined in and or is currently watching the replay. You guys are indeed the best part of waking up. Wow, I feel the need to cry for some reason. That was an incredibly brilliant series of storytelling on your end. Mike, I'm going to get through the rest of this copy so I can go enjoy my 5-minute break before we come back for the talk back that I will also try not to cry through. We will be back next week for the Luthier's Folly with Old Gods of Appalachia. This is going to be the very first time that this RPG is going to be played on the Symphony. We have GM Evan Perlman, who has stepped up to run it. So that is going to be Evan, October 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern, back here on our Twitch. Cast and crew are going to go take this brief break, and then we're going to come back for our post-Symphony Gala. I guarantee you this talkback is going to be absolute fire. If you would like access to this talkback, you do need to be a backer of our Patreon. And to do that, you can back us at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. If you'd like to hang out on Discord, you can follow a link that was allegedly being posted by a bot in the chat, or just go to our website at symphonyentertainment.com. You can find all of our socials there. Before we empty out the auditorium, let's do a one more time around and say goodnight to our symphonic cast. Cast, please tell us your name, where to find you, and some of the things that you do. We're going to go in the exact same order, starting with T.A. Newman.
I am T.A. Newman, and I'm the host of the Miskatonic Playhouse. And yeah, you can catch us over at the Miskatonic Playhouse. You can catch us on YouTube or any kind of podcast streaming service where you get your friendly neighborhood podcasts from. But join us, please, on Saturday. It's our first live Twitch stream, and we are twitching a special game for the Miskatonic Repository Con. We're taking the Council of Shoggoths through Signal to Noise, which is a 1980s analog horror fest, and I am keepering, and it's going to be brilliant. We've got XP Lovecat, we've got Al Diesel Smith, and we've got Heinrich D. Moore, who I'm going to be torturing as much as I can through that process. So yeah, please join us, because we'd love the support, and we think it's a lovely opportunity during the convention to get everyone together. So hopefully people will just get together in the chat. They probably won't even be watching the actual scenario. They'll just be chatting about the rest of the con. So yeah, come and get involved, please. We'll see you there.
Good luck. You guys are absolutely going to crush it. And Newman, I'm just proud of you, and I'm excited for you. Graham, hit us, baby.
I'm Graham Walmsley. I don't host a podcast or a stream or anything. Well, what am I thinking? Why am I even here? I know. I do design games, so you can find my games on Patreon. Patreon.com/Graham. And I'm streaming Cosmic Dark, the new thing I'm writing, game of weird space horror, in a couple of weeks' time. Do come and watch it. And then there is, then after that, other streams are coming up. There's an amazing thing. Can I say this, Bridgett?
Do it. Do all the things.
Yeah. On the 1st of November, Bridgett, me, and the amazing Scott Dorwood are doing.
Guys.
Scott Dorwood are doing an improvised scenario. Which I'm just really looking forward to.
I'm delighted for that one, Graham. That's going to be amazing. And I literally can't get enough, Graham. And then close us out, Mike, and I'll do our send off that Chris Bates wrote for us, actually.
Ooh, yes. Hello. I'm Mike. I'm also Mr. Spike. Both two people in one. I have a little podcast of my own called Mr. Spike's Bedtime Stories, where I tell spooky tales with music by somebody by the name of Graham Walmsley. I can't think who that is.
Who is that?
I'm also playing the Horror on the Orient Express campaign with the Old Ways podcast at the moment. So please do tune into that if you can, because it's very exciting. And that's it. That's it. I just hang about and talk bollocks, generally, wherever they'll let me.
And you can also tell one hell of a story, honey, because this was brilliant. If you would like to hear more of literally Mr. Spike running Vaesen, where I originally heard it was over on the Old Ways podcast. He has a series over there that was just completely seduced by. So, rising tide lifts all ships. These are incredible people. Go support a crazy. I am emotional after that ending. Go
easy for you to
support
say.
emotional. Go support amazing
emotional.
people, guys. I hate everybody here. We hope you have enjoyed the symphony, and we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, night, wherever you are in this thing called life. Be safe, guys. Mwah. Night. Oh, let me go ahead and get the last. Yeah, I'm magical. That shit is still so funny to me. Good night, guys.